Chapter 566. Ling Su and the other two were touched. Without saying anything, they quickly retreated. And in Red Grass Village, Bing was already organizing the villagers, preparing to retreat. Suddenly, a wail came from outside. Did they really win? The villagers, Shi Yong and the rest, were all scared pale. Their calves and stomachs were trembling. What kind of weird thing are the blue dwarfs? Bing glanced at Tang Tian, his heart muttering, could crazy Tang be so ugly? Don't we just get used to it? Everyone looked at him silently. The villager shook his head. I don't know, Xiao Yu brought it. Everyone else was dumbstruck. If they could not win, they could just run. Yes. Shi Yong nodded his head. This battle record, if taken out, would definitely scare people to death. Even I find it familiar. I can't wait to go up and kill it. Ugly, right? Little Fool said coldly. Shi Yong did not know what a big shot was, but these people made him feel reverence that came from the bottom of his heart. To be able to repel the blue tide with just a few people. No, looking at the densely packed village, the endless sea of blue dwarves, Shi Yong felt as though he was stepping on cotton. It was slightly soft. Shi Yong took the chance to whisper, "What is the background of this benefactor? Do you want me to inform them?" The villager thought for a while and asked. The other members all nodded their heads, their faces full of envy. They were truly envious. Don't look at how the precious Bright Village Regiment was the only armed force of Red Grass Planet. Their best battle record was only fighting with the assholes of the Summer Continent and not retreating. Compared to the glorious battle record of Red Grass Village, it was simply too inferior. It was too embarrassing. Thank you, Leader Shi. This time we have met a benefactor. This battle is really satisfying. This old man's life is worth it. The villager was beaming with joy. Upon saying that, Tang Tian knew it was not good. Wasn't he exposed? He was just stalling for time. He had to use everything he could. Victory? They came so quickly. The killing intent of the huge army seemed to have materialized, like a raging wave pouncing over. At this moment, the leader of the group of blue dwarves suddenly stared at Tang Tian's face. His expression changed and he blurted out, "Intruder." The blue dwarf elder's head tilted to one side, his breathing stopped, his face was filled with shock and fear. In the distance, Bing's face also changed. Such a strict formation was definitely something only an army that was adept in battle formations could achieve. It was a beautiful move, but at the same time, it also made Bing understand that he was in deep trouble. The blue dwarves did not think that someone would dare to stop them, and when they were almost in front of Tang Tian, they suddenly stopped. Crazy. Why was he always looking for someone to provoke? The precious Bright Village Regiment was the only armed force of the Red Grass Planet, and all the important matters were handled by them. In the eyes of the villagers, the precious Bright Village Regiment was the true ruler of Red Grass Planet. Shi Yong was a backbone, and in the eyes of the villagers he was a big figure. The voice came from afar, causing everyone's face to change. Only Tang Tian remained indifferent. Suddenly, the blue dwarf elder saw Tang Tian's face and his face immediately changed. His entire body trembled and he screamed, "Intruder! Intruder!" Let's first think about what to do with the blue dwarves outside. Bing felt his head hurting. It was not easy to capture the other party's leader, and wanted to interrogate him for some information, for example if he had seen Jing Hao and the rest, or the distribution of the blue dwarves' world. But before he could say anything he was already scared to death. Many of the villagers were so scared that they sat paralyzed on the ground. Everyone was shocked and immediately rushed out. The scene in front of them caused everyone's face to change, their backs turning cold. Tang Tian dragged the long centipede hammer and stared at the blue tide in front of him. What exactly is going on? We are here to inform you, but we did not expect to see such a huge victory. The smile on Shi Yong's face was somewhat unnatural. He kept feeling the cold at the back of his neck. The cold sweat on his back uncontrollably flowed out. Could it be that his thoughts were discovered by the other party? They had just experienced a bitter battle, and although they had obtained victory, but everyone's physical strength was at its limit. If not for Little Fool's strange move, the battle would have continued on, and the ones who could not hold on would definitely be the villagers. Because there were too many blue dwarves and they could not kill them all. At the end of their vision, a smear of blue appeared again. The group of blue dwarves were astonishing in numbers. Like a tide that covered the mountains and covered the plains, they rushed forward. Little Fool and Bing's face changed. This group of blue dwarves were of a higher grade than the ones they had eliminated. Careful. There are blue dwarves behind. Ling Su shouted. His body was still weak. The blue dwarf elder's eyes were filled with fear. He was trembling to the point that he could not speak, his face becoming whiter and whiter. That feeling was like a crazy wave rushing over. Without any warning, it stopped right in front of him. Tang Tian's heart thumped once again. The ice blue tree branch was not in a good state. No wonder Ling Su and the rest were in such a difficult situation. Tang Tian's heart was beating like a drum. It was the second time that Tang Tian heard that word. He who was originally extremely nervous blurted out, "What is that?" The blue dwarf leader was dead and left behind a thorny problem. That was, what about the group of blue dwarves lying on the ground outside? Previously, Bing already felt that this problem was thorny. Now that the other party's leader was dead, it became even more thorny. Tang Tian's heart jumped. His intuition was extremely sensitive. The dense killing intent caused all the hairs on his body to stand, his back perspiring profusely. He stabilized himself, mentally prepared himself. Upon seeing that the situation was not right, he would run. Who knew after winning there would be another wave of blue tide? He had already secretly instructed Little Fool to prepare to teleport. What do we do now? Tang Tian spread his hands. He was rarely at a loss. Tang Tian did not forget to add another sentence in his heart and shouted, "All of you quickly go to the back. I will block them for a while." The blue dwarves who were originally lying on the ground, all wailed. Their bodies were like blue ice cubes under the blazing sun, melting at a speed visible to the naked eye. The three of them looked to be in a difficult situation. All of their clothes were torn, their expressions were extremely tired. It was obvious that they had gone through a tough battle. The three of them saw Tang Tian and the rest and could not help but reveal joy on their faces. Compared to killing their way into the blue dwarves' main camp, this wave of blue tide was nothing. Tang Tian actually scared the leader of the blue dwarves to death. Xiao Yu. Shi Yong was startled. He knew Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu was rather famous in Red Grass Planet. He was born with a handicap and was unable to use energy, which was an extremely rare situation. In addition, although Xiao Yu was unable to use energy, he was very motivated. He learned a lot of miscellaneous methods and even went to dig up the red reed's pith to supplement his family's expenses. For a 12-year-old child to be able to do this, everyone still felt pity in their hearts. Red Grass Village. This was an extremely ordinary village, and there were many villages with this name on Red Grass Planet. It was an extremely remote village, extremely ordinary, and did not have any special characteristics. Tang Tian's mouth was wide open, his face stunned as he looked at the empty ground in front of him, and the blue tide that had disappeared into the distance in the blink of an eye. Bing, who was organizing the retreat behind him, was dumbfounded. Xiao Er, who was preparing to teleport to save Tang Tian's life, was dumbfounded. Ling Su was dumbfounded. Crane was dumbfounded. Jing Hao was dumbfounded. Everyone was dumbfounded. They had to put up an act and drag for time. Inside a house in the village, Tang Tian and the rest were in trouble. In the blink of an eye, all the blue dwarves had become a pool of blue liquid, and the blue liquid quickly seeped into the ground. Tang Tian was not afraid at all. On the contrary, his heart was brimming with joy. Everyone was able to gather. That was truly great. Previously, he was prepared to kill his way into the blue dwarves' main camp to search for Ling Su and the rest. But now that everyone was safe and sound, what could be happier than that? Shi Yong was at a loss. The blue tide would occur from time to time in the sacred Saint Galaxy, and at times of high frequency, they were no different from earthquakes, landslides and floods. Only the big cities were able to defend against the blue tide, and the Red Grass Planet had experienced 4 large-scale blue tides, and every time the final outcome was that everyone had to evacuate. What did I do to him? Tang Tian turned to ask everyone with a blank face. He was completely unclear of the situation. Yaya nodded his head subconsciously, and when it reacted, its small face turned white, and it shook its head like a rattle drum, the fat on its cheeks like waves. Tang Tian was dumbfounded. "Captain Shi, why are you here?" A villager greeted uneasily. It was so strange that Tang Tian felt a chill run down his spine. The blue dwarves that covered the entire mountain and plains, just like that, disappeared like snow. As far as the eye could see, the ground outside the village was a strange blue color. Only the scattered black wooden spears and javelins on the ground proved that the strange scene just now was not a dream. Tang Tian felt that in his entire life, there was never a moment where the pressure was greater than now. Although his expression was calm, his mind was always focused on Ling Su and the rest. As long as they met up with Bing, it would be time for them to retreat. This. Shi Yong was suspicious. The surrounding troops did not dare to make a sound. In the past, when they came to Red Grass Village, they did not feel that the pressure here was low. Standing alone in the wind, Tang Tian was at a loss. Until they entered Red Grass Village, Shi Yong and his teammates were still in a daze. Damn it! Ling Su and the rest. This team of blue dwarves had a much stricter formation and seemed to have the aura of an army. Tang Tian's gaze landed on the tree branches in the hands of the blue dwarves, and his heart thumped. It was the ice-blue tree branches that they met in the sea of blue light. Suddenly, Tang Tian's gaze congealed. A black dot appeared in the distance. The black dot's speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it had flown close. Upon seeing who it was, Tang Tian became excited and immediately rushed out. As expected, they were stronger than before. The scene was too strange. But before he could react, the strict formation of the blue dwarves' army in front of him was retreating at a speed that was several times faster than before. Even the blue dwarves were subservient to them. This big figure, Shi Yong did not dare to think about it. In any case, he was sure they were definitely not people they could afford to offend, and definitely not the Shang continent. Oh, the summer continent definitely could not afford to offend them. But holding back the blue dwarves was more important. Tang Tian slowly waved his centipede hammer, squinting his eyes. He had the demeanor of an expert. It's these big figures. Shi Yong broke out in cold sweat. Oh God, I actually had such a dangerous thought. It's too scary. Stop. Although the intonation was strange, but everyone could understand. Tang Tian was surprised. He pointed at his own nose. You know me? The few of them looked at each other. Such a professional skill, no one present knew it. But very quickly the three of them had anxious looks on their faces. He was scared to death. Who knows how to extort a confession? Hey, don't tell me he's scared to death. Tang Tian anxiously said, I haven't asked anything yet. Shi Yong quivered and shook his head. No need, we just have to wait here, we just have to wait. The villager was extremely pleased. He was grinning from ear to ear. Everyone looked at each other, seeing the shock in each other's eyes. The only reasonable explanation. Bing nodded his head in agreement. Chapter 567. Babla, cheer up. Although you are just my temporary servant, but I do not need a listless trash. Until this time, when he suddenly heard his boss shout, intruder. His muddle-headed mind seemed to have been struck by lightning. Countless of dusty past events immediately drowned him. Don't look down on yourself, Barbara. Shi Yong's blank mind slowly recovered. He greedily breathed in the fresh air. After going through death's door, the feeling was different. Little Fool immediately activated the spirit-devouring flame to sweep the area. Bing then urged Tang Tian softly, this is a good chance. No matter what, we have to grab hold of the Shang continent. We only need to accumulate a certain amount of power, and then we can open the passage between Heaven's Road and the Sacred Saint Galaxy. As long as we defeat the Blue Tide, your reputation will be unparalleled and no one will be able to shake it. If it was previously, the Blue Tide would still make people worry, but aren't you now holding the title of an intruder? This is a matter of small capital and huge profits. Suddenly Little Fool thought about Crane. Crane's body would sometimes release a similar chi. The two of them looked at each other and rushed out, only to see a short and skinny blue dwarf waving the wooden rod in his hand. At the end of the rod was a white cloth. This is definitely a good chance. There are still many places in the Shang continent that are experiencing the Blue Tide. I asked them, they do not have enough power to defend against it at this time. We need a hero to stand up and turn the tide. Shi Yong heard a few words and was chased to the side by Bing. Intruder. Tang Tian muttered. Come in and talk. Tang Tian was expressionless and took the lead. That asshole, wait a minute. The spirit-devouring flame had an undetectable black color. Closing his eyes to feel it, Little Fool could not hide the joy on his face. For some reason his quiet heart suddenly became lively, his originally gloomy life suddenly became lively, and the entire world seemed to be different. Most of the savages lived in tribes, and that was one of the reasons why other continents thought that the savage continent was barbaric and primitive. Looks like it's not bad, your injuries are not serious, you don't need to waste my medicine, this thing is very expensive. The spirit-devouring flame's ability to devour martial spirits was extremely outstanding. This wisp of black light was sucked into the spirit-devouring flame, but was not completely absorbed. This wisp of black light was different from the various martial souls that Little Fool had seen before, but it contained an extremely obscure and ancient aura. Little Fool flew to the area where the blue dwarves had melted, and there were many wooden spears and javelins scattered around. Little Fool picked up a black javelin. This kind of black javelin gave him an extremely dangerous feeling. However, Little Fool raised his eyebrow and released the soul-devouring flame, which lunged at Black Spear like a shark that smelled blood. The spirit-devouring flame was like an agile snake, wrapping around the spear. After a moment, the spear lost all its luster and it fell to the ground, shattering into pieces. For two blue dwarf leaders to call out "Intruder," it was definitely not a coincidence. The short and skinny Barbara tightly clenched his fists, his body trembling uncontrollably. It was as if something within his body was awakening. Was it curiosity towards this world? Was it the yearning that was buried deep in the heart? Is it that figure in my memory that I can't erase? Was it the encouragement that sounded out in my mind? Barbara's nose suddenly turned sour, tears welling up in his eyes. "Master, I have disappointed you. I did not become the hero of the blue dwarves." Mengnan, this name was very fitting of the savage continent style. Every time the other blue dwarves talked about the master, he would be extremely proud. Shi Yong nodded his head in his heart. "Well said. At such a time, there is nothing more reliable than a hero. Hero, hurry up and go." No one knew that the master that he was once loyal to was actually the intruder that caused the entire blue dwarf world to tremble. How was he captured by the master in the past, and how was he able to help the master cross the blue sea and enter the sacred Saint Galaxy? He initially thought that he would definitely be silenced, but who knew that the master would actually let him go? The more he looked at Barbara, the more he felt that it was the master. He was extremely excited. Master's descendant, young master. He initially thought that his days would be spent in a daze, occasionally going to the sacred Saint Galaxy to fight for territories, as long as he watched the large group go. Although the various continents looked down on the savage continent, and looked down on its barbaric nature, but no one doubted the savage continent's strength. The savage continent's territory was vast with countless planets, although most of them were barren and had harsh environments, but it also tempered the savage continent's strong fighting capabilities. He was filled with nostalgia for that period of time. And there is one more important point: the materials here do not have any martial spirits. To a mechanical army, it is extremely important. Sai Lei's research on spirit gold is not going well. Spirit gold's energy conductivity is very high, but it is too soft, so Sai Lei plans to use it to create meridians for mechanical spirit weapons. The metals here do not have martial spirits, and are even more suitable for smelting and forging, and there is a high possibility of researching new metal formulas. Sai Lei can definitely create even stronger mechanical spirit weapons, and this brand new mechanical spirit weapon will completely topple the previous theories. The mechanical spirit weapon will become the extension of the meridians in the human body, and with the assistance of the martial spirit of the spirit weapon, it can form a new cycle during training. With that, it means that the mechanical spirit weapon can evolve. You have had enough of this muddle-headed life, right? Bing composed himself and continued. If we are able to open up the pathway between the two, we will be invincible because we can attack the enemy from behind at any time. Barbara's heart jumped. Seems like the young master's mood is not good. That's right. Bing said softly. The saints here are very common, but compared to the saints in Heaven's Road, they all have their own strengths. The saints in Heaven's Road have fine control over energy, and are far from what the saints here can compare to, and their understanding of laws is also stronger in Heaven's Road. The energy here is too abundant, to the point that they do not need to understand it too deeply. But in terms of energy they are much stronger, and although their fine control is not as good as the saints in Heaven's Road, but they are more familiar with energy. As long as they do not control it meticulously, they can complete it well and are extremely good materials for an army. Of course, we have never seen a true martial artist from this region, and our judgment might not be accurate. In his blurry vision, the figure and his memories overlapped. Barbara could no longer hold back his tears and they flowed out. Oh my God, what did I just see? A blue dwarf waving a white flag? Could it be? Barbara suddenly remembered that the master had once unintentionally mentioned that he had a son. So when Boss exclaimed, he quivered and immediately took a look. 15 to 16 years had passed. Could it be that master had returned? See. Although the qi was extremely thin, it was of a very high grade, and with the current spirit-devouring flames ability, it was actually unable to completely absorb it. But little fool knew that the black aura was definitely nourishing medicine for the spirit-devouring flame. Blue dwarf servant. This made Barbara feel pleased. Those fellows definitely did not know that he had once helped Master, and was Master's most loyal follower. When he extended his neck and looked at it for the first time, he was shocked. It really was Master. But when he looked carefully, he realized that in some places he was young, too young. It was as though Master was many years younger. The blue dwarf walked to Tang Tian and bowed respectfully. "Brave young Master, I am called Barbara, I am Master and also your father's servant. I have no ill intentions." Barbara was sad for a long time. The next 10 years were extremely boring in his eyes, and he was not interested in anything. "You are not a coward, Barbara." The jet black javelin was obviously made from some kind of tree branch, and the javelin had an extremely faint qi lingering around it. "Go back, Barbara, you will definitely become the hero of the blue dwarves. Do not attack." Bing spoke passionately. Everyone was startled. "You did well, Barbara. Those are blue dwarves." He sneaked a glance at Tang Tian. The young man, who was extremely young, was actually the leader of the group. It was not easy to be the leader of a group. If not for his ability being outstanding, then he must have a respectable identity. Shi Yong naturally leaned towards the latter. A respectable identity. Could it be that he was the son of a tribe leader in the savage continent? Inside the village, Shi Yong carefully stood at the side, listening to the quarrels of the important people. Tang Tian and the rest were extremely eye-catching amongst the group of people. "I am still unable to forget the past, right?" Barbara was the most ordinary blue dwarf. He did not have any outstanding points, and in the group he was not eye-catching at all. His strength was low and was always bullied by others, but his character was slick and knew how to curry favor, so he lived well. Just at that moment there was a commotion outside. He was originally not a diligent person, and after experiencing those hair-raising days, the other blue dwarves were like trash in his eyes. In truth, the adults were easy to get along with, and Barbara missed them. Everyone looked at each other, but no one made a move. With so many people here, one blue dwarf was nothing to them. His companions all ran back with all their might. Barbara stretched his neck and looked back. The terrifying blue tide in the eyes of others was something that they could not avoid, but in Bing's eyes, it was a huge opportunity. And the changes in the blue dwarves allowed him to acutely find a way to make use of it. Although the victory came out of nowhere, but in any case it was a victory, and everyone who was tensed up to the extreme finally relaxed and all sat down on the ground. Barbara immediately became excited. The more he looked at him, the more he felt that he was similar, just that the young man in front of him was even more heroic and even more untamed. In the history of the blue dwarves, there had never been a person who brought them such a huge trauma and fear. Even after so many years, the scars were still as clear as ever. The blue dwarves worshipped the strong, and Barbara knew inside the blue dwarves, there were many high and mighty elites that secretly worshipped the master. Tang Tian's heart palpitated with excitement. "You are saying to pull the Ursa Major constellation's army over?" Hearing that, Tang Tian was fascinated. Bing was also filled with anticipation. He could not imagine how strong such a mechanical spirit weapon would be. Tang Tian felt that Uncle Bing was right. If they had a stronghold in the Sacred Saint Galaxy, it would be extremely beneficial. Red Grass Village. The only thing that made Barbara unhappy was that when he begged the master to bring him away, he was rejected. The man did not bring him away and left alone. Chapter 568. Barbara was overjoyed. "Thank you, young master." As for control, who cared? "How many people are there in the Shang continent?" Tang Tian asked Shi Yong. Such a powerful and terrifying attack, but it did not shatter, immediately attracting little fool's attention. He suddenly understood why his mother had never said anything bad about that man. An arrogant man who overestimates himself. He is not even comparable to a mediocre general. Barbara was unconvinced. "The Black Order army has 20,000 men. If that's the case, you can follow me." Tang Tian interrupted Barbara's words. "You are just a frog in a well. You have no qualifications to point your fingers." When he was collecting the spoils of war, he suddenly realized that the black stones did not break much. Especially around the crater created by Bing's first attack. Although the black stones were distorted, but not many of them broke. Poker face. Needless to say, Everyone immediately understood the value of the barren land. The black gold's properties were outstanding, but it was a pity that there were too few of them. The barren land in front of them was endless, and there were countless of black stones, enough to refine enough black gold. That meant that they could create the black gold series of mechanical spirit weapons. Zhou Xian was truly excited, especially when the master said that there was a possibility of staying in the Shang continent. He was extremely excited. To the Shang continent, it was the best opportunity. Why so little? Crane was curious. In Heaven's Road, any random planet would have a population of over 10 million, it was extremely common. For a planet to only have a few tens of thousands of people made him feel surprised. If the Shang continent were to let go of this thigh that was as thick as an elephant, they would definitely be struck by lightning. 6. That means at least 12,000 people. If they are stronger, then 10,000 should be enough. Tang Tian muttered to himself. To counterattack the blue world, I need to count a bit more. 20,000 people, that should be enough. Master actually wants to counterattack the blue world. Isn't that too much of a joke? The entire blue world crawled under his feet and trembled. At that time, someone in the city suddenly shouted that an intruder was coming. The entire city, young and old, ran for their lives, leaving only an empty city. All the heroes were crying out, who could stop him? That person must be fighting for his own ideals. He must also have a reason to fight. His heart must be filled with longing. He must also be longing for victory and longing to return home. He thought about Xia, thought about everyone, thought about Ursa Major constellation, and his dazed eyes slowly regained their focus. Yes, that person had his reasons to fight, and he also had his reasons to fight. Everyone stared dumbfoundedly at the two people arguing fiercely. The development of the situation was completely beyond everyone's expectations. But very quickly, everyone started to relax. Crane found a chair to sit down and watch with relish. Jing Hao held on to Drunk on Saint Blood and beat the beat, while Ling Su stood beside the two of them and started to practice his techniques. Bing muttered, the standard of the villagers, 2,000 people, grooming them for a year should not be a problem. It would be best to occupy the Xia continent as well. Bing suggested, if that's the case, choosing 20,000 out of 5 million people is not bad. Everyone looked at each other. They finally realized that they had neglected the most important issue, and that was money. They had no money. You can't move a single step without money. Zhou Xian thought he had heard wrongly. Wait a minute, what did Master say? Counterattack the blue world? At that time, Army Commander Bai Ling was a very powerful person. This matter immediately caused a stir in the blue world. Our place is called the Blue World, and the Blue Sea is only a part of it. At that time, the 6 strongest experts in the clan came, and the 6 of them wanted to persuade him to surrender, but they did not expect that the master would not even bother to greet them, and without saying a word he immediately started fighting. Both sides fought for an entire day and night. Out of the 6 experts, 4 were killed by Master, and the other 2 escaped with injuries. This time the entire blue world was completely shocked. Tang Tian was startled. He immediately gathered everyone and ran to the desolate beach. No. I must definitely make the masters stay. That person did not do it, so I will change everything myself. Tang Tian secretly clenched his fists. So little. So little. Bing scratched his chin and smacked his lips. Tang Tian was slightly distracted. He did not know what he was feeling. That person's figure in his mind was just a blurry figure. To choose 20,000 out of 300,000 people, that should be pretty good. Tang Tian muttered to himself. Walking to this point, he wanted to fight for himself, for the people he loved. Blue-skinned shorty. At this time he no longer needed to think about the problem of occupying the Shang continent, such a precious resource. He definitely could not hand it over to others. Tang Tian was startled, Bing was startled, Crane was also startled. The room suddenly fell into a dead silence. The precious Bright Village Regiment's salary was pitifully low. If someone were to give them a salary of 200 cloud coins a month, most probably the entire regiment would swarm over to work. Your boasting attitude is extremely irresponsible. To the young master. Barbara flew into a rage. Even the elite armies are unable to handle the Black Order army. 2,000 villagers. Poker face, are you joking? Zhou Xian's heart trembled. Cold sweat started to form uncontrollably and his legs became weak. His Excellency was indeed His Excellency. This kind of bearing, it was as though the Xia continent was like their own backyard in their eyes. All of the haze was swept away. Tang Tian felt his entire body brimming with energy. Tang Tian asked Bing. You've seen the Black Order army before, is it difficult to defeat them? No matter what, they could not sit and watch Heaven's Road be conquered by the sacred Saint Galaxy, because that was their home, their life, and their future. Is Master crazy? But as he learned more and more, he slowly understood some things. Stop. Tang Tian bellowed, and the two of them stopped, but they were still glaring at each other. Little Fool then took out the honorable martial cauldron and smelted a black rock, and obtained the black gold that they had collected in the Sea of Rocks. It was a place that even bandits would not visit, it was obvious. To fight one-on-one with the blue dwarves, Tang Tian was not afraid at all. He waved his hand. Oh, then we don't have to care about them. The army that Barbara was in just now, what army was it? How many of such armies are there in the blue world? Little Fool flew to the front of Tang Tian and said softly, the black rocks in this barren land have black gold inside. Barbara was beaming with joy as he spoke, his expression excited. The Shang continent was barren and desolate. They did not have any products, the population was sparse, and everyone was extremely poor. Since Master is willing to stay here, then you must definitely develop the Shang continent. The sacred Saint Galaxy is the same. Shi Yong felt his face cramping up. Shi Yong immediately became excited to merge the Summer continent into the Shang continent. It was something that the Shang continent dared not even dream of. Barbara said arrogantly, the Black Order army is one of the most elite armies in the blue world. The blue world has 6 big orders and are the 6 most elite armies. Wait a minute, salary? Shi Yong was filled with anticipation. If the salary was more than 200 cloud coins, he would definitely go. That's true. Crane nodded his head in agreement. Hearing the first half of the sentence, Shi Yong was ecstatic. He had a premonition that the Shang continent was about to welcome a new life. The second half of the sentence made him even more in awe. Listen to it, how tyrannical. In this era, who dared to say that they had solved the problem of the blue tide? Out of all the arrogant people in the Summer continent, who would dare to boast about it? That was tyrannical. Countless experts advanced wave after wave, but like moths flying into a flame, they were all killed by Master. Until now, 10 years have passed and the blue world's vitality has not recovered. Everyone felt that they still needed to use armies to deal with Master, so they sent out 4 armies to encircle and annihilate Master, but they were constantly attacked and defeated by Master. Of course, Barbara's credit is also in this. Barbara's mind was roused. He knew that it was time for him to perform. He thought for a moment and said, this place is too poor, there are no benefits, the powerful armies are not interested, so there will not be any large armies. Furthermore, the news of young Master being here will quickly spread to the surrounding armies, and I reckon no one will dare to come here. But after a period of time, the experts who receive the news will most likely come to challenge young Master. There are many ambitious people in the blue world. If they were to defeat young Master, they will become famous in one battle and many people will be attracted to you. This place is too desolate, no one is willing to come here. Shi Yong explained. The population of the Summer continent is much more, there are 1.2 million people. Really is black gold. Bing's tone was filled with surprise. No wonder it is so hard, Sai Lei will definitely be happy to the point of going crazy. Master is called an intruder, that was the reason why he barged into the Blue Sea. Master's first battle shocked the Blue Sea, he relied on his own strength to fight against the Blue Hand Bai Ling army. The Bai Ling army is one of the most elite armies in the tribe. Every time they fight in the Blue Tide, they once captured the capital of the Western continent, they are extremely powerful. But in front of Master they are not enough. Master chopped the vegetables, that scene was truly a river of blood. The commander of the Bai Ling army was also beheaded by Master. Crane and the rest looked at each other, the number was still very little. A few of the quick-witted ones like Little Fool were already thinking the sacred Saint Galaxy's population was so small, there must be a deeper reason. Bing glanced at Barbara. I know. When Tang Tian walked out of the room, he saw Shi Yong being tricked by Bing, his face was filled with excitement. Then let's merge the Summer continent into the Shang continent. Tang Tian nodded his head. Let's first pick a portion of people. He was just a small captain of the precious Bright Village Regiment, how could he have experienced such a battle? But a small fry also had their own intelligence, he probed. Master, what are the criteria for selection? And about that, what is the approximate standard of salary? Barbara, tell us about the Blue Tide. Tang Tian turned and asked. Shi Yong quivered, regaining his senses. 3 planets, a total of 300,000 people. Tang Tian immediately decided, the Shang continent is very important to us, we want to build a city here, but first we have to solve the problem of the blue tide. Shi Yong's face was filled with disbelief. The blue tide had erupted for so many years, but no one had ever thought of attacking the blue world. The number of blue dwarves was truly too large, to the point that it made people feel despair. Bing's face turned black. He bent down and said coldly, "Little shorty, I have fought in more battles than you have eaten. Do I need you to teach me how to fight?" Thinking about it made him go crazy. Chapter 569. In history, the pontoon bridge in the Sea of Light had always been built by piling up human lives. Every time it was built, less than 1 out of 10 people would be conscripted. Furthermore, they did not conscript the local people of the vast star continent, but came to the Shang continent, which meant that they did not care about the life and death of the Shang continent. Begin. Aston water, it was a type of weak poison, and was the product of Lady Mu's research. Its poison was extremely weak, and was the best liquid that everyone had found to dissolve the black gold. After sending a basket of black rocks to Old Man Fei, who was in the Blood Meridian's laboratory, he said that it was an urgent matter and Little Fool did not care anymore. "All right, straighten up, straighten up," Tang Tian shouted. Suddenly, Zhou Xian, who was beside him, stopped in his tracks, his breathing becoming disorderly. From this, it could be seen how powerful the Pisces spray pot was. If it was just Little Fool's control, he would not be able to cause the mist to be so small, and still be able to permeate it so evenly no one dared to think about it. Little Fool held onto a silver spray pot. The shape of the spray pot was extremely unique. There were 2 fish tails intertwining, and the 2 fish mouths were the spouts of the spray pot, each extending to one side. Tang Tian had asked Xiaoyu before, but Xiaoyu did not know what the black rocks were called, and only knew that they were difficult to refine. But he was too weak and did not know much, so he did not think too much about it. In the entire Shang continent, there were not many people who were proficient in refining weapons, and no one would come to such a desolate place for no reason. The villagers of Red Grass Village knew that the black rocks were hard, and thus used them to build houses. Tang Tian bellowed. The few of them moved like lightning, gathering all of their strength. A few heavy hammers accurately smashed onto the top of the black stone pillar. "Are you ready? The rest of you spread out." After that, they found out that the Pisces spray pot was a life-type star treasure. The black stone pillar sank down by 30 m before everyone stopped. All of them were perspiring profusely. Such physical labor was not something any saint could do. Shi Yong had helped a lot. He had found many blueprints of strongholds, although they were all ordinary goods. But to Sai Lei, who was proficient in warfare and a mechanical grandmaster engineer, it was enough. Red Grass Village was truly too small and their defenses were too weak. Xiaoyu looked at the Pisces spray pot in Little Fool's hands curiously. The sparkling silver spray pot was both beautiful and powerful. Xiaoyu was filled with curiosity as to how to combine these black stones into one. As for the materials, they were the inexhaustible black stones on the barren beach. Whether it was in terms of hardness or energy resistance, the black stone was extremely outstanding. The only problem was that it was extremely difficult for these black stones to fuse together. Making money was a worldwide problem, and it was the same in the New World. Furthermore, the Shang continent was desolate and backward, and was extremely poor. If one wanted to earn money, they had to leave the place. Another group of villagers began to pour black stones into the grass net, and the black stones piled up continuously. When the pile reached 400 feet, it stopped. The ground was also covered with a thick layer of black stones. Every day, Tang Tian and the others made new discoveries. There were too many unfamiliar things here. "So annoying, even ghosts know how to be straight," Ling Su said impatiently. As Tang Tian shouted the chant, the thick rope stretched taut, and the black stone pillar with a diameter of 50 feet and a length of 55 feet slowly straightened up. The surrounding villagers all looked on curiously and in shock. The black stone pillar in front of them was a single entity, although it was covered with veined patterns. But when such a gigantic object was erected in front of them, it was still shocking. Wang Juanxian sighed in his heart, but on his face he helplessly smiled. "I hope that Mr. Shi can guide me along." The black stone pillar sunk down bit by bit like a nail, continuously being hammered into the ground. Such a shocking scene caused the villagers to be dumbstruck. A few of them had a heavy hammer in their hands, Bing's Sky Tiger's bronze hammer was the most terrifying. It was as tall as Sky Tiger, causing people to feel a chill down their spines. The density of the black stones was extremely high and extremely heavy. The weight of the black stone pillar could be imagined. Even for Tang Tian, who was known for his strength, he was unable to move it at all. Upon hearing that it was extremely urgent, without saying a word, Old Man Fei gathered all the elites of the Blood Meridian's laboratory to tackle the problem. Although Little Fool was an expert in refining spirit treasures, but his understanding of blood meridians was lacking compared to the blood meridian specialists. If he were to fumble around blindly, then it would require a long time. With Senior Gui Wu's explanation, Old Man Fei and the rest quickly found a suitable blood meridian. Pisces constellation, silver treasure, Pisces spray bottle. Little Fool started to spray Aston water, and the black stones on the ground and the grass net quickly melted, merging into one. The 6 black stone pillars started to weave the grass net and repeated the process. On top of every black stone pillar, there was a tall pointed tower like 6 sharp swords pointing towards the sky. But now it could be perfectly realized. Zhou Xian does not dare. Wang Zhuanxian's heart secretly cried out. The other party's background was huge and he did not dare to reject. Thinking about Shiyang's savage fierce man, he wanted to use him as a shield. Wang Zhuanxian was born locally and they were all fellow villagers. How could he bear to let them die? It was able to control liquids very well and was suitable for blood meridian specialists, cooking, tea-making, gardening, and if it was used in battle, it was suitable for martial artists proficient in water element illusionary martial techniques. 20 minutes later, a gigantic black stone pillar was formed. Tang Tian and the rest decided to expand the Red Grass Village, and without money they had to do it themselves. Many metals were resistant to fire, but could not withstand the corrosion of blood meridians. Xianxia then laughed. The Shang continent is barren. Commander Wang has suffered for the past few years. If the pontoon bridge can be repaired soon, then it will be a great merit. I will definitely report to Master and ask for Commander Wang's merit. My vast star continent in the entire southern region is a first-rate commercial center. It is flourishing. Commander Wang will know when the time comes. Haha. In the past few days, Tang Tian and the rest were extremely busy. Because of the black stone desolate beach, Tang Tian and the rest had to build a stronghold here before they left. The 6 black stone pillars formed a complete hexagon. Tang Tian and the rest were so tired that they sat on the ground, as though they had been fished out of the water. People below, spread out, pay attention to your safety. Bang bang bang. Wang Zhuanxian immediately regained his senses. He immediately raised his head, and when he saw the scene in front of him, his pupils dilated. He was more interested in the refinement of weapons in the Sacred Saint Galaxy, but a pity Xiao Yu only knew the basics. Xiao Yu had already become Little Fool's assistant, helping Little Fool to classify and categorize the materials. In this aspect he displayed outstanding talent. One after another, thick ropes were tied onto the black stone pillars. Little Fool frowned. The straw basket imprint on the black stone pillars was an eyesore to him. It was not beautiful at all. But he knew that using flames to forge such a big black stone pillar far exceeded his ability. After obtaining this strange star treasure, Tang Tian did not know what it was used for. Could it be that he was using a watering can to bathe his enemies during a battle? The black stones were dissolving at a speed visible to the naked eye, fusing together, while the Aston water did not harm the red thatch sword grass at all. By his side was a gloomy and cold-looking man. His entire body was covered in armor, his long and narrow eyes flickered with a cold light. And the bodyguards accompanying him, all of them were surging with true power, their auras sharp. Yes, yes, yes. Wang Zhuanxian nodded his head. 1, 2, 3. An ear-piercing sound came out and the black stone pillar suddenly sunk down. Tang Tian and the rest started to unravel the red thatch sword grass on the outside. The stone pillar's surface was filled with patterns of the straw basket. Xianxia did not look at Wang Zhuanxian and directly said, Commander Wang, please don't blame me. This time in the blue tide, out of the 30,000 li of pontoon bridges, more than 200 of them were destroyed. If the pontoon bridges were not repaired, the losses would be shocking, so Master gave the order to gather commoners. I am carrying the 200,000 men gap, Commander Wang. Please don't make things difficult for me. To the current Little Fool, refining black stones was already very taxing, not to mention such a huge stone pillar. So when Sai Lei and Bing proposed the plan, Little Fool almost went crazy. Helplessly he dived into the records left behind by Senior Gui Wu to find a way. They were all experts with regards to the control and precision of their strength, their sense of balance. It was almost instinctive. The tough and durable red thatch swordgrass was weaved into a cylindrical-shaped straw basket, which was filled with black stones. The length of the straw basket was more than 55 m, and its diameter was more than 15 m. In the expansion plan, the most important thing was the 6 pillars with a diameter of 15 m and a length of 55 m. According to Bing and Sai Lei's request, the 6 pillars needed to be forged with black stones. Bang! I want to see what kind of god it is. Zhou Xian said indifferently. He glanced at Wang Zhuanxian. If at that time Commander Wang finds another excuse, then don't blame me for being impolite. The two worlds had completely different systems which greatly expanded the horizons of Tangtian and the rest. The Sacred Saint Galaxy and Heaven's Road were two completely different worlds. Although the Sacred Saint Galaxy did not have martial spirits, but the abundance of materials here far surpassed Heaven's Road. The treasures of Heaven's Road formed their own system, and the weapons of the Sacred Saint Galaxy had a long history, which was even more ancient than Heaven's Road. Crane started to organize the villagers. Bundles and bundles of red thatch swordgrass were distributed, and they started to weave around the black stone pillars, forming a double-layer grass net, surrounding the entire village. Tang Tian was not angry. He laughed out loud and shouted, "Are you ready?" To be able to refine the forceful subjugating bead, Senior Gui Wu's standard of refining spirit treasures was extremely high, and could be said to be at the peak of perfection. Furthermore, Senior Gui Wu was a blood saint, and knew a lot of unorthodox methods, and as expected Little Fool found a possible method. Little Fool took out a bucket of transparent liquid. It was a material specially prepared by the Blood Meridian's laboratory. Little Fool became the busiest person. He needed to continuously try out all sorts of unfamiliar materials, and then the materials that were chosen would be sent to Sai Lei for further analysis. The bitterness in Wang Zhuanxian's mouth became even thicker. He looked at Shi Yong. All of his hopes were placed on young noble savage. The two of them followed the blueprints and came up with an expansion plan. Little Fool's face was solemn. The Pisces spray bottle in his hand was pressed down. The Aston water was shaken into a mist, transforming into a mist that entered the cylindrical straw basket. But if they were to reject it, the Shang continent would definitely be flooded with blood. Tang Tian and the rest did not leave hastily. They still needed time to adapt to the Sacred Saint Galaxy. In front of us is the Red Grass Village. Master Meng Nan is temporarily staying there. Wang Zhuanxian said respectfully. Now that Little Fool was using it to refine, the weird and unorthodox water refining method was extremely suitable for the star treasure. In the sky, Tang Tian was commanding loudly. He was dragging a thick rope. The other end of the rope was tied to the black stone pillar. Around him, Bing was controlling Sky Tiger, Jing Hao and Ling Su, each of them pulling on a rope. Because they were worried that others would see through their origins, the new Red Grass Village decided to use mechanical techniques on a large scale. The Sacred Saint Galaxy's mechanical techniques were highly developed, and Bing suspected that the Southern Cross Army's mechanical techniques were most likely brought over from the Sacred Saint Galaxy. Chapter 570. Zhou Xian retracted his gaze from the silk blade cage. His gaze landed on the Black Castle, his eyes blazing with passion. That was his goal. Thinking about that, greed flashed past his eyes. His gaze was fixated on the Black Castle. As for the villagers scattered on the ground, he did not even look at them. They are increasing their speed. Ling Su raised his eyebrows, eager to give it a try. The wind whistled past his ears. The Black Castle was rapidly getting closer. He could clearly see the fear and panic on the faces of the villagers. Truly a group of lambs waiting to be slaughtered. Around the castle, the flat black ground was like a plaza, and what was even more surprising was that they were one with the city walls. Looking from afar, it looked like a black fierce beast, quietly lying dormant on the vast black gravel barren land. Where did it come from? Ling Su frowned, thinking bitterly. When he realized that Jing Hao had already disappeared, he immediately became annoyed and angrily stomped his feet. I was snatched away. Little Crane, you're too annoying. The two of them were startled and immediately opened their eyes. A light sound came out. The blade aura swayed as it passed through the ripples, flying straight towards Jing Hao. This was to train his senses, the feeling of his palms. He needed the moment of contact. Through the changes in his hands he could judge its strength, direction, etc. In the past, Ling Su's spear techniques relied heavily on true power, but now that he was on the path of the zero-energy body, all those methods had lost their effectiveness and instead returned to the source. Wang Zhuanxian could hear the dissatisfaction and coldness in Shi Sen's voice, and laughed bitterly. In truth, a few days ago this place was still barren. And to be able to build such a majestic castle in such a desolate place, there must be a reason behind it. Could it be that there are some unknown benefits here? The dazzling blade aura caused the entire place to be covered in white. His voice stopped abruptly. He raised his head and looked at the sky in disbelief. The 40 m tall city wall, even from afar one could still feel its majesty. Such a scale of city wall should not appear in a small place like the Shang continent. Only the flourishing and important cities would use it. The strange hexagon, the 6 spires pointed towards the sky like swords, causing the black castle's solemn and dignified look to increase in sharpness. Because of this disturbance, the feeling under Crane's feet changed and he fell onto the ground. The energy between heaven and earth seemed to freeze, but in the next second, it boiled and exploded. This strange cultivation method was created by Crazy Tang. Once this thought emerged, it could not be erased. The three of them only saw a blur in front of them. The saber gleams were like threads and countless threads were like a huge net enveloping them. Shi Yong was at the front of the group as they flew towards the Black Castle. Crane gasped for breath. Such training was extremely difficult and consumed a lot of physical strength. He had trained for more than 10 years and was long used to using true power, but now he had to find his body's instincts. To him, it meant that he had to start all over again. Shi Sen was shocked. He stopped in his tracks and squinted his eyes. Crane and Ling Yang's face changed. They were anxious. The two of them appeared beside Jing Hao at the same time and took action at the same time. Kill! Wang Zhuanxian suddenly realized that Shi Sen, who was beside him, suddenly sped up. Almost at the same time, Shi Sen's bodyguard also sped up. In the blink of an eye, they had covered a large distance. The saber sheath in his hand lightly patted the armor on his body. The soldiers looked at each other and immediately understood. It was a secret signal between them, meaning to immediately take action. They quietly adjusted their positions. Suddenly, a sword aura suddenly flew towards them from below. Furthermore, the defense of the Black Castle was extremely lax. With people entering and exiting, there was not a single person on the walls. It was too numb. They did not even have the most basic of guards. Isn't that Shi Yong? Ling Su asked curiously. Who are the people beside him? Is it that whatever village regiment? As long as they got closer, he was confident that before the enemy could react, they would be able to take down the Black Castle. Ling Su was enraged. Damn it, come, let's fight to our heart's content. I have tolerated you for too long. This judgment lit up in his mind like lightning, his face turning ashen. He immediately understood why Shi Sen let Shi Yong walk in front. He wanted to make use of Shi Yong to numb the enemy. Shi Sen regained his senses and smiled at Wang Zhuanxian. Commander Wang did not tell me that there was a castle here. It was so far away that Shi Sen did not need to care. Wang Zhuanxian did not suspect him. My regiment's leader Shi Yong. An undefended castle, how could they not take it down? Do whatever you want. As long as the training rooms and training grounds are done well, it will be fine. Ling Su did not care. With this distraction, the pebbles in his hand suddenly scattered all over the ground. The entire army's energy surged like a raging wave. 51 long blades, brought along the surging sea of energy, and frantically surged towards Shi. Senator Shi Sen knew that the 6 spires were not just for show. He had rich battle experience, his observational skills were sharp, he could feel the energy gathering at the spires. Crane climbed up from the rubble, dusted off the dust on his body, looked at the sky and felt weird. It doesn't look like it, they don't look weak, let's go and ask. It had only been a few days. A few thoughts flashed past his mind. Shi Sen was deep in thought. Maybe he was going to be rich. It's been a few days and it's not over yet. Crazy Tang in poker face, what are they up to in there mysteriously? Ling Su mumbled to himself as he closed his eyes and did a different kind of training. He held onto a handful of pebbles and they seemed to be stuck to his hand, rolling around endlessly like a ball of sticky liquid, stuck to Ling Su's palm and could not fall off. Shi Sen laughed and said to Wang Zhuanxian, I wonder who they are most familiar with? Shi Yong was suspicious. They were already here, why did they still need to lead the way? But he did not say anything and nodded, all right. Overestimating yourself. The villagers below saw Shi Yong, who had just arrived 2 days ago, and saw Xian in the crowd, and all waved their hands to greet him. In a short burst of speed, Shi Xian and his troops had completed their formation. Shi Xian heard the villagers discussing that it was definitely a big shot, and that they had come here to find Master Meng, and his mouth could not help but reveal a smile. His heart was filled with disdain. These people were too relaxed. The sword aura was not dazzling, but Shi Xian squinted his eyes, his heart trembling. This sword, he could smell the scent of laws. From the corner of his eyes, he saw an ordinary-looking swordsman. He never thought that the savage continent would actually have such a powerful swordsman. Shi Xian's eyes flashed with a trace of craftiness. The blazing sun blade aura exploded without any warning. What about laws? Although the sword aura's law aura was pure, but it was not strong. Shi Xian brought along his personal bodyguards. There were not many of them, only 50 of them, but all of them were strong. The key was that they had followed him for so many years and were extremely familiar with battle formations and had great teamwork. I never thought that it would be the same family. Shi Xian's smile became even more amiable. I hope Captain Shi can lead the way. He licked his lips, squinting his eyes, releasing a light aura like that of a wolf. He had always been vicious and merciless and killed without any scruples. Where did he come from? As long as he did not leave anyone alive who could do anything to him. At most, he would push the responsibility to the bandits and the benefits would be tangible. Furthermore, the savage continent was too far away from the vast star continent. Army. Crane's face changed, his figure suddenly disappeared. Just like the Black Castle. As for the secret, as long as it landed in his hands, he had enough methods to make the enemy speak. Bo. Shi Xian's eyes became sharp and he bellowed, kill. Just at that moment, an unforeseen event occurred. His own strength was outstanding and his military achievements were sufficient, but his family did not have any background, and was unable to be promoted, to the point that he did not have any land. If he was able to gain some wealth and clear his channels, he might be able to rise another level. Shi Xian wanted to attack the Black Castle. Sai Lei's plan this time is said to be powerful. Using mechanical techniques as the main factor, fusing some of the thoughts of the treasure city, she has created a brand new stronghold. Uncle Bing is very interested. Crazy Tang is being pulled to do hard labor. Shi Xian stared at Xian's face, seeing that the other party's expression was not fake. He also noticed the other members of the precious Bright Village Regiment. All of them had faces of shock and started to believe him. Shi Xian was extremely excited. The blood in his body was boiling, his fighting intent was at its peak. He unsheathed his blade and raised it up high. The blade in his hand, the sword tip was slightly raised. It was the signal to prepare for an attack. At that moment, the Black Castle was like a beautiful lady with her arms wide open. Everyone's eyes were blazing. It was not only him, the rest were doing the same training, but the only difference was Jinghao was playing with the stones while Crane was clumsily jumping around everyone. The black stones on the barren land were of different sizes and shapes. After closing his eyes when he touched the stone, he had to feel the feeling from his feet and quickly make a judgment. Xian's face changed, although he was just a leader of a village regiment, but he could still recognize it was an assault. The three of them were not weak, tangling with them would only delay the battle. As expected, they did not come with good intentions. Crane's face was gloomy. Guess where they came from? Oh, I did it on purpose. Crane's face was calm. He suddenly believed Xian's words, that they had defeated the Blue Tide. With such a castle with a certain number of battle personnel, defeating the Blue Tide was a possibility. Slash of the blade. The purpose of the obelisk should be to attack. Shi Yong was completely dumbstruck. Previously, the few masters had asked him for the blueprint of the stronghold, but who would have thought that? He thought that the masters only wanted to build a small stronghold here. As expected of someone from the savage continent, if they were truly from one of the aristocratic families, they would definitely have people who were proficient in formations. The aristocratic families were the most law-abiding, and would definitely not make such a stupid mistake. Jinghao's sword aura paw like a fragile glass, it turned into fine powder. At the place where Jinghao's sword aura was destroyed, the space started to ripple like water. The weak ripples started to distort the blazing sun blade aura. The guards by his side all unsheathed their blades at the same time, howling like wolves. One-on-one, Zhou Xian did not have the confidence to win, but now he had already gathered and increased his speed. The entire group's assault was at its peak state. The entire group's chi was as one. Just a mere swordsman, Zhou Xian's mouth could not help but expose a sneer. If that was the case, then this group of people most likely had a powerful background. There's killing intent. Jing Hao suddenly opened his eyes and looked up into the sky. The palm was the most important part of the spear body, and its instincts were extremely important. Chapter 571. Bing mumbled to himself. Suddenly the 6 spires lit up with dazzling light auras, causing Bing to be startled. Bing flicked the cigarette ash and continued, "Let's talk about the armor." The good news was that the energy here was very rich. Under the constant nourishment, the armor would be able to evolve. From the looks of it, the one with the highest possibility of evolving is this Ursa Major Constellations, Ursa Major Umbrella Coat. Bing quivered. This strength, it's an army. So fast. Before he could rejoice, an even more dazzling light aura shone from the city walls. A solid light barrier blocked the blade aura. The invincible saber aura could only penetrate 3 inches into the city wall before it was unable to advance any further. Without borrowing any strength, Zhou Xian leaped forward. Bing was an expert in finding opportunities for his side when the enemy was strong. Based on the current situation, the power that the armor can unleash in the Sacred Saint Galaxy is 12 times that of Heaven's Road, and the energy that can be mobilized is 25 times. I just don't know how strong the real armies here are. What a pity. If there is an army here, we will know. Tang Tian's exhaustion faded like the tide. He felt his whole body brimming with strength. The energy on the surface of his body slowly flowed. Before he could react, Hong, a loud sound rang out and the entire Black Castle shook violently. Boom. The Ursa Major umbrella coat was extremely eye-catching among the 7 sets of armor, because it was already glowing with a faint gold color. Another piece of news that is neither bad nor bad is that as time passes, the nature of these armors will change. The nature of the energy here is completely different from Heaven's Road, and no one knows what it will become in the future. Crazy Tang ravaged them. The Red Grass Village's energy concentration was very high. It was much higher than the 12 zodiac temples. This place completely had the conditions to build a treasure city. Someone was attacking. Bing looked at the data in front of him and bit his cigarette. Still okay. In terms of energy, there was no need to worry. The local experts here were more than capable. But to truly unleash its might, unless it is a zero energy body, if not, it requires a tyrannical fleshly body. I doubt if the martial artists here are up to the task, as the Sacred Saint Galaxy does not seem to have any blood meridians. When the time came, he would see if he could transplant the bloodline system over or bring some bloodlines over to try. Oh, I have to discuss this with Old Man Fei. Zhou Xian was shocked by the light aura that suddenly lit up the Black Castle, but immediately after he saw the blazing blade aura that the small group had unleashed with all their might, smashing onto the Black Castle walls. When the light dissipated, the Black City wall was left with a 6 to 7 feet long mark. Zhou Xian looked at the shallow blade mark, and knew that the blade aura could not pose any threat to the thick wall. On the city wall, a warrior in silver armor stood coldly. Zhou Xian didn't even notice when the other party appeared. An army could mobilize a larger area of energy, and so could a treasure city. The 7 sets of armor greedily absorbed the surrounding energy, like 7 energy whirlpools. As time passed, the 7 sets of armor would continue to evolve and become even more powerful. The experienced and knowledgeable Zhou Xian immediately realized the astonishing wealth contained within. In his eyes, the black desolate beach was like an ocean of money. The Ursa Major umbrella coat was like countless of wriggling silver pieces, engulfing Tang Tian. Countless silver armor wriggled along the surface of Tang Tian's body. When they landed, Tang Tian was already dressed. Bing waved his hand and a unique armor flew in front of him. The silver armor was like a silver bear squatting down silently. It was mighty and majestic, and the most eye-catching thing was the thick and heavy silver umbrella on its back. These few words were spoken with the last bit of his strength and were hoarse and dry. Barber returned to the Blue World and said that he wanted to bring a powerful blue dwarf military general for Tang Tian. In Heaven's Road, everyone revered individual bravery, and armies were underestimated. On the contrary, in the Sacred Saint Galaxy, armies were the hegemons, and individual martial strength was easily underestimated. Don't look at how the grade of the 7 sets of armor were not high, they were all silver rank, and Ursa Major constellation had spent a lot of effort to gather them. Among star treasures, the armor was an extremely special existence. Bing had specially asked Shi Yong about this, and Shi Yong's answer was exactly the same as his judgment. In the 10,000 continents of the Sacred Saint Galaxy, the most popular was the army, and there was not much space for individual martial artists to survive. Thinking about the blade auras released by his entire team, and only left a shallow blade mark on the Black City wall, Shi Sen's heart immediately became extremely passionate. Tang Tian was in an extremely strange state. Little Fool in his body contained an astonishing amount of energy, and outside his body was also surging with energy, while his zero-energy body was stuck in the middle. And what made Tang Tian even more surprised was that the layer of isolation belt actually allowed Little Fool's control to increase greatly. Such a strange effect was never seen or recorded in any ancient records. Tang Tian and the rest were unable to receive any support. Then is this plan useful or not? Tang Tian felt that his strength had recovered a little and raised his head to ask. A completely new type of material with powerful properties and astonishing quantity. They had truly struck it rich this time. To be able to enter the Sacred Saint Galaxy, only the few of them, and among them only Bing, was able to lead the troops into battle. In the short term they were unable to open up the passage to Ursa Major constellation, and that also meant that the armies of Ursa Major constellation were unable to enter the Sacred Saint Galaxy. That's right, it was the Blackstones. The opponent was coming for the Blackstones. In Bing's vision he only saw a silver light shooting out, like an ice-cold blade aura. It flashed in the air. The opponent's knees were slightly bent, his body leaning forward. That's good. Tang Tian mumbled. For the past few days he was like a lab rat and was tormented to death. Looking at the Black City walls that only had shallow blade marks, suddenly, his eyes caught sight of the Blackstones that could be seen everywhere on the desolate beach, and his pupils suddenly released a blazing light aura. Above the two of them floated 7 different silver armors. But Sai Lei was obviously not a person who was willing to follow the rules, and Bing also felt that ordinary treasure cities did not have much meaning. The energy was extremely abundant. Saints did not have spirit domains. The control of energy was not refined enough. Every set of armor could mobilize an astonishing amount of energy. How to defend the Black Castle became the biggest problem in front of Bing. Ordinary treasure cities would definitely not be able to deal with armies formed by saints, and that was why there was such an innovative plan. But these armors had extremely high requirements for the user. Such an astonishing amount of energy, the burden and corrosion it produced was extremely intense. Without a strong body, it was impossible to withstand it. He could feel the resonance of the armors in the 6 obelisks. He could mobilize the energy of the entire Black Castle, and give the enemy a fatal blow. He did not do that. His gaze was firmly locked onto the enemy. Suddenly Shi Sen's pupils constricted. When all these characteristics were gathered bit by bit, the judgment in Bing's heart gradually formed. It was different from Heaven's Road, where the saints revered individual strength. In the Sacred Saint Galaxy, it was the armies that reigned supreme. The 6 sets of armors entered the 6 obelisks, leaving only the Ursa Major umbrella coat, floating in front of Tang Tian. I'm rich. Tang Tian held on to his knees, perspiration flowing down his face like a meandering stream, dripping onto the floor. He looked as though he had just come out from the water. His clothes were drenched in perspiration, his face was slightly pale, his heavy breathing was like a bellow. He felt that he could not even move a finger. Shi Sen's pupils suddenly dilated. Pa Jing Hao and the other 2 were forced by Tang Tian to train their fleshly bodies. They were all zero-energy bodies, but their fleshly bodies were not considered tyrannical, and that would limit their abilities. The unique armor, the style was different from any family he knew, releasing a terrifying aura coldly staring at him. How is it? It's useful. Bing puffed out a smoke ring. To the current situation where we lack an army, this plan is probably the most suitable. We only need a small number of fighting men and we can defend the Black Castle. Of course we need to teach them how to use the armors. The energy that was highly compressed into blade auras, under the powerful force, its structure was destroyed and it exploded. The 6 sets of armors transformed into 6 silver light, and entered the 6 obelisks. And the Ursa Major umbrella coat was placed in the center of the Black Castle, forming a resonance with the 6 sets of armors. Tang Tian did not care. From his extremely fatigued state he immediately entered a battle state. It was not that his fatigued body had recovered, but he placed all of his attention on the battle. He needed to end it quickly. Even though it was not the first time they saw it, but every time they saw it, Tang Tian's visual impact was like a sharp blade aura. Bing could not help but feel his blood boiling. Tang Tian's reaction was faster than Bing. His eyes lit up with a cold aura. In that moment he had entered a battle state. Enduring the pain in his body, he suddenly jumped, pouncing on the Ursa Major umbrella coat floating above his head. He was not surprised but happy. He dared to confirm, the Black Castle's standard was much stronger than any other stronghold. What did that mean? It meant that the other party viewed this place with great importance, and that the wealth contained here was definitely astonishing. The Sacred Saint Galaxy had the most fertile land for the development of armies. The most ordinary villagers all had decent strength. As long as they trained, they would be able to form a decent fighting strength. And because the energy was too abundant, they were natural saints, so the fighting style of the people here was biased towards large-scale attacks, lacking finesse and variations. On the contrary, due to the lack of energy in Heaven's Road, it forced the martial technique system of Heaven's Road to walk on the path of digging deeper. The Treasure City was a unique type of city in Heaven's Road. Using high-grade star treasures as the core, it could sort out the star power around the city, and form a gigantic star power network. Regardless of whether it was defense or attack or daily training, it was extremely beneficial. As a famous general, Bing's insight was not something that others could compare to. In the past few days of observing in secret, he had a rather good understanding of the Sacred Saint Galaxy. Tang Tian was used to experiment these few days, to find out exactly how strong a body was required to be able to bear the burden of these armors. Other than that, Bing also needed to understand what use each set of armors could display in the Sacred Saint Galaxy. To them, the domination of armies was definitely not good news. Black rocks. Bing's excited shout came out from behind. What was even more powerful was that the 7 sets of armors formed a stable energy network, and all the energy within a radius of 50 kilometers was under their control. A dazzling light ball enveloped the city wall. Tang Tian appeared on the city wall. Wait a minute. This action. The slightly closed eyes of the Ursa Major bear revealed an indescribably cold and sharp aura. Carrying the umbrella, it stood there silently. Its entire body was covered in silver armor like bulging muscles, containing an astonishing amount of power. Chapter 572. But the inheritance of Ursa Major constellation was the Ursa Major star's umbrella. Zhou Xian took the lead, his body moving along with his blade. The other soldiers were all shocked. They all knew that their master was going to risk his life. Without hesitation they followed closely behind. Come on. Kill. Zhou Xian's expression changed greatly. He could not believe his own eyes. How could there be someone who could release such a terrifying punch? He watched helplessly as the butterfly-like blade gleams that filled the sky melted like snowflakes. The corners of Zhou Xian's mouth suddenly curled into a sinister smile. It had been a long time since he had met an idiot who dared to charge into his formation alone. Zhou Xian was stunned at first, and then he couldn't help but laugh. His silver armor was like that of a bear and his muscles were bulging. He was majestic and mighty. Suddenly taking out an umbrella, he looked indescribably comical. After wandering for so many years, only 46 of the original 500 people were left. Have a taste of the Ursa Major star's umbrella. The saber screen was instantly penetrated. The extremely excited waiter's expression suddenly froze. Tang Tian's body was like a drawn bow. His eyes suddenly expanded, he exhaled and punched. Right at this moment, the long blade in Zhou Xian's hand was raised vertically in front of him. With a hint of demonic charm he said in a low voice, "Diao Wu. Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish." They saw him as a hero and followed him. They fought everywhere and traveled to the ends of the earth. 500 armored soldiers withered without regret. I want a piece of land. Dong dong. So that's how it works. Isn't this the principle behind the vortex? The feathers on his arms stood up one after another. They swept past the thick energy on the surface of his body at an astonishing speed. It was as if they were slicing through water. The feathers trembled in unison and gathered into a low hum, like the roar of a bear in the depths of the jungle. Xiu Shen's hair was disheveled and he seemed to have gone crazy. A trace of pain appeared on his face. For the current him, this move was extremely taxing. It had to be said that Xiu Shen had mobilized the energy of 51 people to construct a distorted force field, which was very powerful. To be able to combine the power of an army and use such a meticulous method to attack, Xiu Shen's strength was undoubtedly displayed. Even Bing's eyes could not help but flash a look of shock and admiration. Tang Tian's fist suddenly shone brightly like the sun. Tang Tian didn't dodge at all. It was as if he hadn't seen it at all. He plunged headfirst into the huge net filled with countless invisible forces. At this moment, a silver light suddenly flew behind him, and a rather heavy silver umbrella appeared in Xiu Shen's field of vision. Tang Tian's demonstration of pure physical strength was incisively and vividly demonstrated by Tang Tian. Wherever this punch passed through space, whether it was energy or strength, everything was annihilated. Little Fool, who was in a state of excitement, was extremely excited. It was the first time he had mobilized such an astonishing amount of energy. The black castle behind him was continuously pouring in a sea of energy. The fist aura gathered by the spiral force was not in the shape of a normal fist aura. Instead, it was in the shape of an irregular cone under the high-speed rotation. With a low roar like a cannonball, it plunged into the blade screen. The speed of the punch was so fast that even the layer of energy attached to the surface of his body was pierced through. The waiter mumbled to himself. He did not know why, but he was extremely excited, an excitement that he had never felt before. Although Erwo had many good points, it was stupid and stupid. Little Fool was not satisfied with it. Erwo's power was not stable at all. Sometimes it would show its dominance, but most of the time, it would make all kinds of low-level mistakes. Xiu Shen felt that it was a pity. The pure and vigorous energy tightly gathered on Tang Tian's body. It was like a layer of viscous liquid, adhering to the surface of Tang Tian's body, but was separated by Tang Tian's zero-energy body. To the extremely prideful Little Fool, if his other side was sunlight or passion, then it should be the perfect sunlight, the perfect kindness, and not stupid, not stupid. Little Bear Umbrella? Ah. I want victory. A thick layer of blade screen immediately rose around the entire group. The high-speed rotating blade screen was like a tornado formed by the blade auras, protecting the entire group. His thoughts were pulled far away in the past, when he was trapped in the enemy's formation. Facing a hopeless situation, he relied on the ichthyosaur transformation to kill his way out from the thousands of soldiers and horses. Out of the 500 men under him, only 100 were left. The armor on his body seemed to be made well. Regiment after regiment of light auras continued to spread out. They quickly merged in the air, and when the 46th regiment of light auras completely merged, an extremely ferocious chi seemed to rise up from the deep sea, suddenly appearing. Xiu Shen's scalp went numb as he watched the fist auras sweep past less than 2 m away from him, consecutively piercing through the bodies of 2 guards, and then collided with the blade screen and was destroyed. Tang Tian was completely unable to hear Little Fool's thoughts. Previously, Little Fool had realized the isolation of the zero-energy body was actually able to increase his control over energy. He had enough confidence to destroy the twisting power that was like a butterfly. Out of the 7 sets of armor, the Ursa Major umbrella armor evolved the fastest, and that was also the reason. Xiu Shen waved the blade in his hand frantically. The soldiers beside him also waved their blades quickly. The sky was filled with blade auras like a group of butterflies dancing, crisscrossing in the air. It was extremely lively. The enemy's sinister faces, the passionate and greedy gazes, were reflected in his eyes. His mind that was almost empty only had instinctive thoughts. It was not a shout, not a roar, it was just a whisper like the wind. It was the young man's oath under the starry sky. This fellow. What is he trying to do? 2 fist auras once again pierced through the blade screen, taking away another 3 lives. In the blink of an eye, his troops had lost 10% of their men. His legs suddenly exerted strength. He was like a cannonball, pouncing towards Xiu Shen, who was rushing over. Danger. Tang Tian's entire body was releasing an extremely dangerous aura. The usual Tang Tian would occasionally reveal a beast-like aura, but most of it was tyrannical and not dangerous. Umbrella? In the air, Tang Tian, who was dressed in heavy armor, twisted his waist and retracted his fist. A fist that was as fast as lightning. The Ursa Major umbrella armor was the armor of Ursa Major constellation, and had always been unpopular. The majority of the martial artists of Ursa Major constellation were swift and fierce, and the umbrella was such a delicate weapon and was completely disliked by them. More importantly, what little fool trained in was the Ursa Major star's umbrella, and the might of the Ursa Major umbrella armor was displayed to its fullest in his hands. Every time little fool activated the mental cultivation technique of the Ursa Major star's umbrella, the martial spirit of the Ursa Major umbrella armor would involuntarily cheer in joy. Zhou Xian suddenly raised his head, his eyes lit up with a raging flame. Who knew if it was because he was too tired, but Tang Tian's state of mind was extremely calm without any fluctuations. Wanna win. Although the blade screen was pierced, but it still interfered with the opponent's lock-on, and the fist aura brushed past Zhou Xian's shoulder by a few millimeters. For a force field that was constructed from energy, it required energy to break, and that was little fool's chance. What was the fool trying to do? As if a bucket of cold water had been poured over his head, little fool's excitement disappeared without a trace. His heart was filled with disappointment. He was starting to be a fool again. Did I overestimate him? Tang Tian's body slightly leaned forward. He was like a violent silver bear that was accumulating power and preparing to pounce. His half-closed eyes opened at that moment. The cold aura that pierced straight into people's hearts was like light reflected on the snow-white blade edge. No, that was a spiraling energy. The first person to sense that something was wrong with Tang Tian was little fool. Zhou Xian's eyes were about to pop out. The intense danger had completely ignited his ferocious nature. Thinking about that, his heart felt like it was being sliced by a knife. He wanted a piece of land, he wanted everyone to be rich and powerful, he wanted to build an ancestral hall, he wanted to burn incense and paper for them during festivals, he wanted the 454 heroic spirits to have a place to return to, he wanted to settle down their families. That was what he held onto the palm of their hands. Before they died, they all secretly swore in their hearts. All of their bodies lit up with a misty light aura like many light fishes. Just at that moment, all of them released their energy at the same time, completely opening up to their teammates without holding anything back. A dazzling fist aura pierced through the complicated and chaotic force field, and continued to enlarge in his eyes. This was Zhou Xian's final trump card killing technique, the group of fish transforming into a dragon. The most difficult part of this technique was that it required unconditional trust between both parties. If any of them were to be on guard, it would cause the power of this technique to decrease greatly. They were like a school of fish frantically pouncing towards the enemy. Zhou Xian's face revealed a pleased look. This butterfly dance had buried countless heroes. All the invisible force fields were filled with killing intent, and when the force fields overlapped, it would reach an astonishing level. He had once ambushed 20 mechanical giants and forcefully twisted them into 20 large fried dough twists. All the bewitching vine-like power in front of the ferocious fist turned into ashes. Every blade aura swept through the air, like a butterfly flapping its wings, bringing forth ripples. Suddenly the air around Tang Tian became chaotic, countless of ripples intertwined in the air. Each ripple brought forth a small amount of twisting force. In the blink of an eye, a huge and complicated force field like a net enveloped Tang Tian. The unprecedented danger caused all the hairs on Zhou Xian's body to stand. Without thinking, he placed his blade in front of him and shouted, "Wind! Dong! Wait a minute!" At that moment, the fool's most instinctive battle state appeared, causing little fool to immediately become excited. He finally found a common point between the two. A battle should be like this. It should be dangerous and overflowing with killing intent. Blood should flow like a river. It should be cold and merciless, boiling blood. It should be the most beautiful flower in the world. The intense annihilation effect formed a whole. The energy on the surface of his body was frantically pulled, at an astonishing speed, converging towards Tang Tian's fist. Under the disguise of a lunatic, is this the real you? Tang Tian's most proficient fundamental fist technique. Other than being fast, it had no other advantages. Tang Tian did not notice. It was as if he did not see the silver umbrella. "Kill, kill." Little fool's eyes were filled with blood. He roared in a low voice. Thesaur transformation. Every blade aura's trajectory was extremely erratic and hard to predict. They flew around Tang Tian, sometimes far, sometimes near. "Kill. Wait a minute." Little Fool's pupils dilated. He looked at Tang Tian's fist in disbelief. Little Fool was dumbstruck. What made him even more confused was, all the energy on the surface of Tang Tian's body was being pulled by the small whirlpool. Bing, who had just flown up the city wall, coincidentally saw the scene. His pupils dilated. These blade auras. I want to defeat them. Chapter 573. Countless of energy flew out like snowflakes. Tang Tian's fist seal was instantly dispersed, and Xianxia's ichthyosaur transformation's light aura also dimmed. Xianxia's face flushed red. The sealed land was right in front of him. Xianxia woke up in the afternoon. His injuries were not serious, but his eyes were empty and dim. He was extremely depressed. Before he lost consciousness, he was strangely calm. I'm sorry, everyone. Tang Tian thought for a moment. Wait for Xianxia and the rest to wake up, then think of something. But he did not expect that Xianxia would actually make the first move. Without even saying a word, he immediately charged forward and lost. This made Wang Zhou feel that his brain was not enough. Such a strong military general, such a strong team actually lost, and lost so thoroughly the entire team from top to bottom fainted. What do I do? What do I do? Gritting his teeth, Little Fool helplessly waved his silver umbrella. The 46 bodies, as though there was an invisible hand holding them up. The momentum of their descent immediately stopped. The 46 people landed steadily on the ground, while Tang Tian was like a silver high-grade scale, smashing heavily onto the ground. I'm going to train. After saying that, Ling Su left angrily. The 46 figures lost control at the same time and fell from the sky. The power of Little Fool's attack was borne by the 46 people at the same time, causing them to suffer varying degrees of injuries. In the next moment, rhythmic snoring sounds came out from the shallow hole. Sensing Xianxia's fighting intent, the 45 elite soldiers roared at the same time. Bang! You guys must be protecting me from the heavens, right? You guys must be following me from the heavens, right? You guys must have never left, right? How can you say you have no clothes? Robes with your son. Wang Yu's army repair my spear. Hatred with my son. That will only be me. Wang Zhou did not dare to leave. He had already offended the vast star continent. If he were to surrender now, the vast star continent would not let the Shang continent off, and the entire Shang continent would be razed to the ground by the vast star continent. Wang Zhou was not willing for his fellow countrymen to be conscripted as farmers, so how could he be willing to see the Shang continent razed to the ground? Jing Hao and the other two who struggled out from the desolate land had extremely ugly expressions. He didn't say anything else. Instead, he turned around and left to practice his swordplay. Roaring like a wild beast, Xianxia's eyes turned red. All of his energy converged towards the long blade in his hand. The dragon-shaped light aura that enveloped the team revealed its sharp claws. Go to hell. They were one, and the light that enveloped them was like a dragon spreading its body, pouncing towards Tang Tian. Ding! Wang Zhou face was filled with despair. He initially wanted to use Master Meng Nan as a shield. He never expected that Master Xianxia would suddenly make a move. However, what Wang Zhou did not expect was that Lord Xianxia actually lost. The waiter was about to explode from anger. The surging energy on the umbrella transformed into a vast sea of stars. Little Fool gently spun the umbrella handle. The sea of stars slowly rotated. It spun faster and faster. The blade at the tip of the umbrella trembled slightly as though it was being twisted into a grinding wheel. However, the powerful Xianxia actually lost. This fool actually fell asleep. He actually fell asleep. Tang Tian quivered. He suddenly awoke from his daze. The soreness surged towards him like a tide, his face immediately contorting from the pain. There was also something that Tang Tian was familiar with: faith. Master Meng Nan's strength was actually so terrifying. Their only hope now was Master Meng Nan. The dragon shape dimmed, but the long blade in Xianxia's hand floated with a bewitching light aura. The whistling sound in the sky suddenly disappeared. Time seemed to have stopped. All of the light aura in the world was gathered on the bewitching and beautiful long blade. Wang Zhou, who had personally witnessed the entire battle, was dumbstruck, but when he regained his senses, his face slowly turned white. Xianxia was an important figure of the vast star continent. If anything were to happen to him in the Shang continent, then the vast star continent would definitely flatten the Shang continent, leaving nothing behind. Wang Zhou slowly chewed and gradually understood the taste. Tang Tian sat beside him. We need to work hard. Crane said he had not suffered such a huge setback for a long time. Although everyone knew that the Sacred Saint Galaxy's army was powerful, but the strength of the Sacred Saint Galaxy's army still shocked them. On the city walls, Bing was muttering to himself, occasionally recording down the details of the battle. He was extremely engrossed, and did not even look at Tang Tian, who was sleeping soundly in the pit. Am I going to die? That's great, I can see everyone again. I know you guys definitely never left. At that moment he did not dare to hold back. The 6 obelisks had a reaction, and the energy converged into the silver umbrella increased by a few times. To them, the saints of the Sacred Saint Galaxy were not strong enough, but it was these weak saints, when they formed an army, that displayed a fighting strength that far exceeded their imagination. Xiu Xian looked at the long blade in his hand. The light aura quickly dimmed, losing its beauty, losing its bewitching aura, transforming into ordinary iron, breaking into countless of fine sand, exploding in his palm. The silver-armored martial artist got closer and closer. Xiu Xian's sinister face disappeared, leaving behind a solemn and pious look. The vast star continent would definitely not sit by and watch, and in the end the most probable outcome would be an army pressing down. At that time the Shang continent would completely become a dead continent, and they would definitely not let any living person of the Shang continent go. And the kid holding the umbrella. Countless shattered auras flew like rain, like stars, like mist. It was so beautiful that it caused people to choke, but at the same time, it was so cruel that it caused people to choke. All of these elite old soldiers, any one of them was enough to beat Wang Zhuxian until he crawled on the ground looking for his teeth. For Wang Zhuxian to be the commander of the precious Bright Village Regiment, he had this bit of judgment. All of these elite old soldiers were by themselves a huge fortune, and to those powerhouses who had the heart to develop an army, they were definitely not something that money could buy. Ling Su fiercely held onto his spear, his chest filled with rage. He did not care if it was an army or not, he was extremely enraged at his own failure. Did you guys see that? Until the second day Tang Tian woke up from his slumber. After a good night's sleep, Tang Tian felt that the energy in his body was extremely abundant, and he had an endless amount of energy. Master Meng Nan's strength was terrifying, and the Ink Castle was also inconceivable. When he heard the last sentence, together with my son, his eyes became blurred with tears. A loud sound came out. The indestructible black stone ground was actually smashed into a shallow pit, and Tang Tian laid in the center of the shallow pit, not moving at all. The fist auras that he released immediately lost control. The originally condensed energy had signs of loosening. Xiu Xian's fish transformation dragon coincidentally collided head-on. 46 people, their bodies changed, energy surged, and indistinctly formed dragon figures. Little Fool looked at the fool helplessly. You can't even protect yourself and you're still shouting about saving people? He wished that he could just fall to his death. If not for the fact that he was his other side, he would definitely let him fall to his death. Definitely. How can you say that you have no clothes? Together with my son. Wang Yuxing's troops, repair my spear together with my son. Wang Zhuxian's report was too important, so Tang Tian immediately gathered everyone. After hearing it, everyone was dumbstruck. They did not expect Xiu Xian to actually have a backup plan, and specially left an army to guard precious Bright City. If it dragged on for too long, the army would definitely have suspicions, and at that time it would be a huge problem. At the moment, what they needed to do was to cover it up. The news of Xiu Xian being captured must not be leaked out. There was still an army stationed in precious Bright City, and they had to think of a way. The simple and desolate war song resonated in his heart. Crane did not say much, although the 3 of them could not defeat the army, and that was a normal thing, but to Crane, it still made him feel humiliated. It was right in front of him. The truth was, no matter how high-grade a scale was, it was still a scale. He thought about how they were in high spirits when they had just formed. They drank wine, talked about the future, married and had children. They were filled with longing. He thought about how they were framed by their allies, surrounded, and dyed the battlefield red with blood. Their hearts were filled with despair. He thought about how they had transformed into bandits, howling through the forest. They were confused. An open silver umbrella blocked the long blade. The powerful strength that Xiu Xian displayed was definitely not a nameless person. The bodyguards by his side were all elite soldiers. All of them were relatively swift and fierce. How could they say they had no clothes? wearing the same clothes as my son Wang Yu's army, cultivating my spear and walking with my son. Little fool's gaze was ice cold. Although the fool is stupid and stupid, although I admire your conviction, but there can only be one winner. Wang Xian felt that his mind was in a mess, like a lump of paste. He was completely unable to think clearly. The battle had completely exceeded his limits. A clear and crisp sound came out. It was so cruel that it caused people to tremble. Bang! Did I lose in the end? His face was gloomy and he went to train. Shi Sen's commanding ability also opened Wang Xian's eyes. He praised in his heart as expected of a big figure in the business continent. The entire battle caused Wang Xian to be dazzled. Shi Sen was definitely a high-standard military general. Not to mention the butterfly dance and the ichthyosaur transformation. Wang Xian could not even understand them, and prostrated himself in admiration of Shi Senator Wang Xian, who had been waiting nearby, hurriedly explained everything he knew in detail. Did we fail? I'm sorry everyone. Although Tang Tian's mind was a little weak, but because of that his fighting instincts were displayed to its fullest. He immediately sensed the change in Shi Sen, that absolute fighting intent. Wang Xian had traveled extensively and was knowledgeable. When Shi Sen made his move he was also shocked, but his mind was faster than Shi Sen's. When he saw the majestic black castle he immediately noticed that the black castle was exactly the same as the black rocks on the desolate beach, and immediately realized the value of the desolate beach. Shi Sen sat on the ground not saying a word, as though he had lost his soul. The energy in his body was sealed and he was like a baby, clumsy and clumsy. Jing Hao's face revealed a self-mocking smile. Previously I thought that I was able to cultivate out a sword spirit and that was impressive, but I never thought that I would suffer a blow today. But the next time I meet an army. What kind of armor is that silver armor? I am about to win, do you guys see it? Wang Xian waited to report to Master Mengnan, but who knew that Master Mengnan was sleeping soundly? He did not dare to disturb him and could only wait patiently by the side. Tang Tian, who was completely out of energy, his body fell down uncontrollably, but he could not care about anything else and shouted at the top of his lungs, "Save me!" Chapter 574. Shi Sen finally exploded, his face contorted sinisterly. You think everyone is like you guys? Sitting at home you have everything? What do you guys know? I only know how to kill, understand? I only know how to kill. I don't know how to curry favor, I don't know how to please, I only know how to go to the battlefield and kill the enemy. You want to talk about military achievements? You think that by achieving military achievements you can get what you want. Don't be fucking naive. Have you ever enjoyed being stabbed in the back by your allies? The military achievements you achieved became someone else's? Even when you repaired your weapons you did not give them money, they did not care about you. We fought less and less, we left, we did not have enough to eat, we became bandits, halfway through we gave up, we did not want to be bandits, we did not want to live so sneakily, we would rather die on the battlefield. I was really an idiot at that time. Shi Sen's heart was filled with bitterness, he became even more gloomy, seems like I am really old, really useless, I am no longer the me of the past. You carried their dreams, their hopes, even they did not give up, what qualifications do you have to give up? Bing was secretly surprised. All along Tang Tian had outstanding battle instincts like a wild beast's intuition. But from the looks of it this fellow's battle instincts seemed to be improving. What is the deadline for your mission this time? Bing continued to ask. Although I really want to console you, but I feel that Crazy Tang's words are not wrong. Bing stared at Shi Sen, who was curled up and crying on the ground, and said, You better think about it. Shi Sen was stunned, but immediately became even more furious. Are you an idiot? What do you need money for? No playboy like you, all you have is money, you don't know anything. I want money. I want to buy a big piece of land. I want everyone to retire together. I want to build the best houses for them. I want to give each of them a few wives. I want to build a big ancestral hall. Isn't it ridiculous? Idiot. Tang Tian was also sizing him up. Shi Sen's eyes were sunken, his beard was unkempt, he was depressed, he looked to be around 40 years old, his face was thin with distinct edges. The hair on his temples had turned white overnight, revealing his old age. Shi Sen was startled, but he quickly regained his composure. He did not expect everyone to be captured, and the threat in the other party's words was unmistakable. Shi Sen did not want everyone to be mistreated, so he said indifferently, People die for wealth and birds die for food. What's so great about that? Dying in your hands can be considered an ending. Give me a quick death. But why did she feel sad? How childish. Would it be effective to provoke him with such words? But why was she so sad? Hey, it's very rude of you not to answer. Tang Tian shouted, don't you have an army? Why didn't he do it himself when he could equip so few people? Don't you know how important it is to prepare before the battle? Bing looked at Tang Tian in surprise. With his eyesight he could see that Xiu Shen's tactics were extremely high level, and was obviously under many restrictions and could not display his full potential. But Bing did not think that Tang Tian would actually be able to see it. After roaring, Xiu Shen fell to the ground as though he was drained of energy. Looking at the sky, his thoughts drifted far away. Hurry up and do it and don't mistreat them. Give us a quick death. Why did you attack us? Tang Tian asked curiously. Don't talk about the 46 of you left. Even if you were the only one left, you should never give up on the battle. Don't talk about the white hair on your head. Even if you lost all your hair, all your teeth and fell down while walking, you should crawl and fight to the end. Tang Tian scolded as he fought. I'm so angry, this idiot asshole. Simply unforgivable. I have never seen such a cowardly asshole before. You better answer honestly. Bing suddenly interrupted. Your subordinates are all in our hands. That's right, he could not even equip his own subordinates' weapons. Was there anyone more useless than him? Isn't working hard what you should be doing? The smoke lingered, and the faces in his memory flashed past his eyes like a flashing lantern. I have let you all down. Bing frowned. He could tell that Xiu Shen was not lying, but that also meant that their plan to use Xiu Shen to control the army had failed, and the matter had become even more troublesome. His back involuntarily bent, and a dispirited and defeated aura enveloped his entire body. Bing appeared beside Crane and Jinghao and pointed at Tang Tian and Ling Su with a face full of ridicule. The clash between lunatics is always so passionate. Unknowingly, tears flowed out of his eyes. His weathered old face, tears flowed freely. Was it his battle instincts? Was this fellow's battle instincts already so strong? The two of them fought like a raging fire, both scolding each other, completely ignoring each other's words. Anxious? Why should I be anxious? Since I did not complete the mission, I will be the one to blame. Xiu Shen exposed a mocking look. Because they know you are working hard although you are stupid. I don't think they are worthy. Bing said indifferently. Bing's poker face froze. He stammered, everyone is. Xiu Shen knew what the other party was thinking. He took the cigarette, lit it up, took a deep breath and then said, Sun Zheng is my assistant. He is from the Sun family and coming to me is just to add a layer of gold. Such a young man with boundless prospects is a wise master. For an old man like me, who would care about him? Xiu Shen was already too lazy to speak. Bang. Xiu Shen only felt a burst of energy. His body was heavily smashed to the ground, and Tang Tian angrily turned and left. The pain coming from his back, Xiu Shen did not feel it. He stared blankly at the sky, his mind filled with Tang Tian's words. The furious Tang Tian found Ling Su. Ling Su, come and fight. The two of them pulled apart and started to fight. With that, Bing also left. Bing spoke frankly with assurance, causing Xiu Shen's heart to feel even more bitter. The other party was an expert. His standard was extremely high. In one move he had grasped Xiu Shen's tactics. With such strength he was definitely not a nobody. Can't lift up your blade? Are you old? Stop lying to yourself, stop lying to them. They must be extremely disappointed with you now. I dare to bet with you. They would rather die on the battlefield than to see you begging for mercy like a pitiful worm or begging for death. This is simply infuriating. You carry their dreams, their hopes, even they did not give up. What qualifications do you have to give up? But he was actually defeated by a brat? Hey, I'll give you a piece of land. Xiu Shen's hand trembled. He did not say anything and only continued to smoke in silence. That's right, 500 people. When they were established they had 500 people and they were all top-notch youths. So noisy. Why did we attack you? For money. Bing looked at Xiu Shen and said, this type of tactics indeed requires certain conditions. If I am not wrong, when this type of tactic was created, it was targeted at a group of 500 people. Why didn't you equip them with suitable equipment? Tang Tian asked in bewilderment. Coward. Liar. Crazy Tang's tactics. Did he even have such a thing? Tang Tian suddenly said, Your tactics, its might is not limited to that, right? Hearing the naive question, Xiu Xian could not be bothered. Is he feeling sad for his own incompetence? Jing Hao said, that's what I wanted. Coward. Liar. The two of them immediately started fighting. Xiu Xian's body trembled, but he did not say anything. Xiu Xian raised his head and sized up the young man who defeated him. Don't bother me. Ling Su was still brooding over the loss 2 days ago, and the moment he opened his mouth, it was filled with irritation. The army stationed in Precious Bright City, do they listen to your commands? Bing continued to ask and threw a cigarette to Xiu Senator. The veins on Xiu Xian's forehead were twitching, and he clenched his fists tightly. Tang Tian was not scared at all and curiously leaned over. What do you want money for? Crane turned his head and said to Jing Hao, let us fight too. His first impression was that he was too young. Other than that, he did not see any good points. He did not have the confidence of an aristocratic family disciple, he did not have the calmness of having everything under control, and he did not have that free and easy atmosphere. Bing, Sun Jing is not anxious. Xiu Xian sneered, full of ridicule. I want money, I want a lot of money, I have seen through it, the rich are the masters. I was too stupid in the past. If I had known earlier, I would have done a few big things and have everything. Since we are all killing people, who are we not killing? What ideals, they are all bullshit. 2 months, 200,000 civilian workers. No matter how many people or how few people, the might of this tactic will be greatly reduced. 40 people cannot support this tactic. Secondly, this tactic has a requirement for equipment. It is best to have the same equipment. This can allow their energy to oscillate and be more synchronized. And out of all the equipment, the harshest requirement is his long blade. It needs to be able to bear the strongest load. Ling Su's face was filled with killing intent. His spear shot out like rain, squeezing out from the gaps of his teeth. One spear to death. One spear to death. The next time I will definitely stab all of them to death. A voice came out from above, causing Xiu Xian's mouth to twitch, not knowing if he was crying or laughing. You want to recruit us? 3 people said that to me, and like an idiot I believed them. One was promoted and left, and I could not even find him. One framed us and many of our brothers died. One waited for our numbers to dwindle and swept us out like old dogs. I am old, we are all old and cannot wield our blades anymore. I do not ask for anything, I only ask for a quick death. You are not even afraid of death, what are you afraid of? Tang Tian looked at Xiu Xian, who was lying on the ground like a pile of mud. A burst of evil fire surged out. He was enraged. One hand grabbing onto Xiu Xian's collar, lifting him up from the ground, he scolded, are you afraid of being cheated? Or are you afraid that your hard work will be for naught? Isn't hard work what you should be doing? They followed you, believed in you, gave their lives to you. Their numbers are getting lesser and lesser, but they did not leave you. Because you are fighting together with them, because they know you are working hard even though you are stupid. Idiot. What reason do you have to not work hard? Afraid of being cheated? Is that a reason? Failure is failure, you are not dead yet. You should fucking say even if you die you will never give up. To be defeated by such a person, it was not considered a disgrace. Uncle, how can we unleash the full power of this tactic? Tang Tian asked Bing. Chapter 575. 12 years. The fatty sighed, you are already an old man. Without all of you, there would not be today's vast star continent. I know that many people are already satisfied with the current situation. The vast star continent today compared to the vast star continent 12 years ago, is much stronger. Now that everyone had a family and a career, they felt that it was time to enjoy life. But Ziqing, take a look. Zhang Didi, long time no see. Barbara opened his arms. Barbara did not refute but raised his eyebrows. Why not? As long as you pledge loyalty to Lan Hai, I believe that with your talent, you will definitely rise in the Red Order army. Although the Blue Sea gave birth to us, I don't want to become a puppet. I have already awakened and have my own consciousness. I will die in a few decades. In any case, I will return to the Blue Sea after I die. But before that, I just want to live my own life. Didi spread his hands. Barbara, don't tell me you came to talk to me about life today? In any city of the Blue Dwarves there would be a mother vine. The closer one was to the mother vine, the more valuable it was. The current him could no longer act recklessly like before. He could no longer act only for himself. Unknowingly he had already become the leader of these people. It might not have been his original intention, but it was the truth now. Where did the soldiers come from? You and me? Song Deity said sarcastically. The best soldiers are always produced in the blue sea. The teacup on the table smashed into his face. He lowered his head and didn't dare to move. Blood flowed down from his forehead, making him look extremely horrifying. It's been a long time. Song Deity opened his arms and warmly hugged Barbara. Quickly come in. Vast star continent. A stout fatty swept his gaze across the report in his hands, and asked without raising his head, how's the progress of the pontoon bridge in the Sea of Light? Do you know how much money I have to spend for a day? Do you think it's easy to support you? Fatty sighed. Things are so expensive now. Money is like water. What does our vast star continent rely on? This was business. If the pontoon bridge in the Sea of Light was broken for a day, I would lose another day. Zijing, how many years have you been with me? What if we form our own army? Barbara asked. Our vast star continent is located in a strategic location, and this has made us successful. Looking at the entire southern region, the vast star continent is currently ranked in the top 10 commercial continents. There was a tinge of pride in Fatty's tone. However, this also means that we are in a battleground. We are like a piece of fat meat who knows how many people want to pounce on us and take a bite. It was Barbara's first time in Abadia, but he quickly found his destination. It was a concave valley in a remote location. It was obvious that his old friend wasn't doing very well. Yang Ziqing knew that his master was extremely angry, and did not dare to make a sound, and did not dare to wipe the blood off his face. Who is it? A dissatisfied voice came from inside. Milord, 12 years. Yang Ziqing replied. It is I, Barbara, returned Barbara. After venting, his mood also calmed down. Perhaps it was because, like Zhou Xian, he had already begun to carry the dreams and hopes of others. No, there must be a way. Abadia City was shrouded in a faint blue mist. It was the blue mist unique to the Blue Dwarves race, and would appear in every gathering place of the Blue Dwarves. It was a mist secreted by the blue vines and could protect the Blue Dwarves from the corrosion of the void. Tang Tian had thought that the Sacred Saint Galaxy would be a brand new environment, but he did not expect that the difference between the Sacred Saint Galaxy and Heaven's Road would be so huge. Wang Zhuanxian said that the vast star continent had 36 armies, and in the southern region, the vast star continent was not the strongest. This number caused Tang Tian to almost not believe his own ears, and made him feel an immense pressure. Wise. Fatty's voice suddenly became sharp. Who will say that I am wise? They will only complain about me. Why don't I give them the money? They have worked hard and should enjoy it. He looked at the sky in a daze, gasping for breath, perspiration dripping down his face. He did not know why he was so angry, but he was angry. Yang Ziqing revealed a bitter smile. Seems like I need to exert some pressure on my subordinates. Master said to let go and do it. It is support and also a warning. If I let go and do it and still can't do it well, then it is a problem of my own strength. Yang Ziqing understood his master. The master only looked at the results. The Shang continent was a poor place. There was only one school and the standard was extremely low, far below the average standard of the Sacred Saint Galaxy. His strongest point had actually become his weakness, causing Tang Tian to feel that they were at a complete disadvantage. Furthermore, they were in the Sacred Saint Galaxy and the army system had a long history. After listening to Wang Zhuanxian's description, Tang Tian then understood how strong of a challenge they were facing. Jing Hao, Crane and Ling Su, the three of them working together, were actually unable to stop a small group of 50 men. That was something unimaginable in Heaven's Road. In front of the table, a man around the age of 30 had his head lowered and spoke carefully. The progress is not very big. The shortage of civilian workers is too big. Tang Tian was so tired that he laid on the ground like a pile of mud. He knocked on the door. He did not make a sound. There was nothing much to say. Everyone trusted you, so you just had to work harder. Until today, when he saw Zhou Xian's dispirited and disheartened look, the rage in his heart suddenly exploded. That is not a good idea. Song Deity shook his head. Once the Blue Dwarves awaken, they will have their own thoughts and will become disorganized. They will go and research on mechanisms and research on all sorts of weird things, but they will definitely not be qualified soldiers like you. It was like, in the past he could think of rushing forward by himself, but now he had to bring everyone forward. Can we complete it in 5 months? Fatty asked casually. In the past few days the pressure on him had been increasing. His tone was extremely relaxed as though he was smiling. But the Sacred Saint Galaxy was truly different from Heaven's Road. Barbara's return did not startle anyone. Compared to the other blue dwarves, he was much smarter. He came to Abadira Mountain. Abadira Mountain was a huge rock in the void. Its size was astonishing. Its length was more than 240 miles, and its widest part was more than 170 miles. Its shape was like an anvil. Of course not, Barbara said solemnly. What if there is a chance now to let you lead an army? Very quickly, Barbara found his old friend's house, which was actually an extremely small cave. The blue dwarves had built their own city on top Abadira City. Stop dreaming. Song Deity shook his head. Blue Ocean will definitely not let an awakened blue dwarf that does not pledge loyalty to him lead any army. That is an iron law. It was a terrible feeling. Yang Ziqing walked out of the master's room, his mind still in a daze. He composed himself and decided not to think so much and first settle the matters of the pontoon bridge. He looked at the sky was azure blue. The sky of the Sacred Saint Galaxy was no different from Heaven's Road. Fatty's face was filled with ridicule, but he quickly calmed down. But regardless of what they think, I do not care. Seems like you are not living well. Barbara looked around the room. It was extremely simple and crude. Blue world. Teamwork was very important in any job here. The small wooden door opened with a creak and a blue dwarf appeared, his face filled with joy. Barbara, why are you here? Barbara was embarrassed. He was truly not a good soldier, but he did not plan to give up. Maybe you are right, but Song Deity, you are a knowledgeable person. Why is it that the humans have their own consciousness, but their army is still so powerful? Bang. Song Deity was taller than Barbara by half a head. His physique was even more powerful. He had an aquiline nose, deep blue eyes. The way he looked at people was filled with judgment, causing people to feel uncomfortable. But inside the city there was no misty blue mist. More accurately, it is extremely bad. Song Deity poured a cup of water and passed it to Barbara. I only have water here. Luckily you are not a particular person. The valley was truly secluded. Yang Ziqing perspired in cold sweat. He braced himself and said, no. Fatty walked to the constellation telescope. The gigantic constellation telescope projected the position of every planet in the Sacred Saint Galaxy. I am not willing to pledge my loyalty to Blue Ocean. Song Deity did not avoid it. He looked at Barbara. We are the same type of people, Barbara. We have already awakened. Although you have disguised it well, but I have long discovered it. If we were to say that Heaven's Road's individual martial technique system was developed to its peak, then the Sacred Saint Galaxy's army system was similarly developed to its peak. Once the youths of the Sacred Saint Galaxy were born and entered schools, they would receive the most basic group training. They needed to understand the most basic coordination, the most basic tactics. These students, upon graduation, would be able to find their own positions in all sorts of armies, for example the village regiment, mercenary army, fiefdom, elite barracks, etc. As though he could see Yang Ziqing's thoughts, Fatty laughed. Humans, after not exercising for too long, there will always be some garbage and toxins in their bodies. To clear their stomach, to expel the toxins, they will be full of energy again. With you doing things, I am assured. In 3 months the pontoon bridge needs to be fixed. Go ahead and do it. I know that many people down there have problems with me. They think that we have too many armies in the vast star continent, but do they not think if we do not have so many armies, how can we survive? How can we protect the treasures of the vast star continent? Yang Ziqing felt a chill down his spine. He knew the master's long-awaited purge was about to begin. Even in Heaven's Road, the weakest army was still an army. Fatty raised his head as though nothing had happened. His face did not reveal any emotions. Do you know how much I will lose if the pontoon bridge is not fixed for a day? We can find the awakened blue dwarves just like us. Barbara pointed to himself. Song Deity was startled. In Heaven's Road, the reason why Tang Tian's Ursa Major constellation was able to contend against the other powerhouses was because they had a strong army. But no matter how confident Tang Tian was, he would never think that the army that they had been tossing and turning for a few years would be able to compete with the Sacred Saint Galaxy's army system that had been developed for tens of thousands of years. Master's wise. Yang Ziqing said. The last time I received your letter I was shocked. Barbara drank a mouthful, then placed the cup down. I feel that with your talent, you can completely stay in the Red Order army. Fatty patted Yang Ziqing's shoulder. Tang Tian looked at the sky in a daze. I will definitely find a way. Chapter 576. Barbara, who are you serving? Song Deity raised his head, his eyes shining as he stared at Barbara. Uncle. Underworld continent's demonic mounts. Tang Tian muttered to himself, seems like he has a huge background. Oh, I will ask around when the time comes, but for now. Why? Zhou Xian was like a cat that had its tail stepped on. He immediately jumped up, hugging the black wind blade, his white hair and beard fluttering. He stared at Bing angrily. Bing immediately regained his senses and coughed lightly. It is already prepared. After carefully studying Zhou Xian's tactics, I think that the strongest point of this tactic lies in the changes in the state of energy sharing. Its greatest difficulty lies in 2 points. One is the long blade, which requires a high intensity of energy. For that, we have specially prepared a set of standard long blades, black wind blades. Zhou Xian finally could not take it anymore and cried out in pain. Underworld. Underworld continent's demonic mounts. Wang Zhuanxian's face turned pale white. He stammered, and looked at Zhou Xian as though he had seen a ghost. That is a pity. Barbara stared at Song Deity and suddenly shouted, Wake up! Song Deity. We are different species. From the moment we awaken, we are different species. You will never have a chance here. You will only die quietly and bring your things to the grave. Tears flowed down his face. Tang Tian smiled. Very good. Bing looked at the ecstatic Zhou Xian, his heart filled with sympathy. You can laugh now, but in a moment, you won't be able to laugh anymore. Intruder. Barbara raised his chin, his expression filled with pride. I serve the intruder. Don't tell me we have another intruder? Barbara waved his hand, pretending to be humorous. He looked at Zhou Xian. How long do you guys need to recover your fighting strength? Barbara did not avoid it and said proudly, Of course it is an important person. Song Deity's expression froze. Previously, the storm in the blue sea had caused countless of blue dwarfs to die. Tang Tian laughed, his face filled with happiness. That is what a hero is. I said, Old Stone, you are not a coward, uncle. Are their equipment ready? Important person. Song Deity curled his lips and said with disdain, What important person can there be in the blue world? I remember you were in the Bailing army. God. Song Deity looked at Barbara in disbelief. He never thought that his good friend would actually hide such a legendary experience. A legend is destined to be a legend. Barbara said calmly, Previously the storm in the blue sea was caused by them. We can fight now. Zhou Xian said brazenly. All right, 18 years old kid, what can he do? Song Deity looked at Barbara with a face full of mockery. Trust me, you're not the first and you won't be the last. I can swing it. Zhou Xian shouted. This saber had a soul. On the other hand, Shi Yong, who was at his side, was in an even worse state. His teeth were chattering, the skin of his mouth was shivering, and his face was ghastly pale. He howled and directly fainted from fear. This place was far from the blue sea and was at the edge of the blue world. The local residents were mostly awakened blue dwarves. Barbara was very angry. He did not know why he was so angry. He tore open his collar and his shrill voice was filled with deep anger. Don't think too highly of yourself. Song Deity. He is a legend and you are nothing. You are just a pitiful worm that was expelled. As long as I say that I serve the intruders in Abadia, I can recruit a large group of them. Wei Luo Xiangsong Zan Suza, who is weaker than you? You have never proven your strength. In the entire blue dwarves, no one has proven their strength. Other than the intruders, who else can gather all of us? Song Deity. Tell me, who else is there? Do you want to live in the dark forever? You said you can still wield a saber? Tang Tian stared at Zhou Xian in front of him, his face expressionless. You're already so old and you can still wield a saber? Tang Tian sneered. Wang Zhuanxian and Shi Yong, who were by the side, had faces of envy. This is not your saber. Bing reminded. I am sick of this life. Barbara roared. I can't see any hope. Every day they are muddle-headed. Do you know what they look like to me? Like a group of mechanical puppets. Every day I live in a group of mechanical puppets. I am fucking sick of it. Zhou Xian extended out his palm, his hand was trembling slightly when he held onto the saber hilt. He could feel the consciousness of the saber and his tears flowed down. Song Deity stared at Barbara in shock. the Barbara in front of him and the cowardly and muddle-headed Barbara that he knew were like two different people. "It is called Evening Snow Ocean," Bing said. "From today onwards it belongs to you. It is a legendary saber with glorious achievements. I hope you do not disgrace it." After being silent for a long time, Song Deity spoke out. "I will not serve my mortal enemy, and he is still a child. 18 years old. Barbara corrected him. After a long time, Song Deity then calmed down the excitement in his heart. Why did he come back? After a full 5 to 6 minutes he finally calmed down. He picked up Evening Snow Ocean and walked to Tang Tian. He knelt down on one knee and said, "Underworld Continent's demonic mounts, swears to be loyal to Master." Only Bing's heart was filled with sympathy. "In a while, you will know what is called extreme joy turns to sorrow. 10 years ago I was the one who led the way for him." Barbara looked at Song Deity, his expression filled with pride. "Song Deity, didn't you always want to know when I awakened? It was at that time when I met the great master." Barbara opened his eyes and saw the world and not the unchanging blue. Song Deity jumped up from his seat as though his butt was on fire. "Barbara, you're crazy. You actually serve the intruders. Don't you know that the intruders are the mortal enemies of our blue dwarves?" Xiu Xin heaved a sigh of relief. He did not expect it to be so easy, and when he heard that Tang Tian had already prepared the equipment, he was even more surprised. Xiu Xin received it and lightly hacked twice, his face revealing a look of joy. It was a black long saber about 1.5 m long. It had a thick back and a thin edge. The blade was wider than a palm with a few smooth and round arcs, shaped like a leaf. The blade's body was covered with dark red veins. Upon holding the saber, Xiu Xin could not help but smile. It felt extremely good. He did not know what material it was made of. He had never seen it before. The blue dwarves were an extremely special group. They were born from the blue sea, and among them more than 90% of their thoughts were controlled by the blue sea. Only a small number of blue dwarves would awaken and give birth to their own consciousness. The world is so mysterious. Barbara smiled. "I am truly not a good soldier, but I am a good guide." "Intruder." Song Deity looked at Barbara in a daze. "The intruder from 10 years ago?" Bing consciously distanced himself from Tang Tian. Crazy Tang's aura was not right, and he definitely could not provoke him at such a time. Seems like Crazy Tang was angered by Xiu Xin yesterday. Crazy Tang was slightly annoyed. Xiu Xin instigated his energy, and immediately the blade aura shot out. It was over 3 m long, like a gigantic light spear, causing him to smile from ear to ear. Bing lied with his eyes wide open. The Evening Snow Ocean was a spirit treasure that Little Fool had refined through the night. But now that Little Fool's standard of refining spirit treasures had increased greatly, although it was rushed, it was still a rare quality product. "Yes," Xiu Xin said solemnly. He stood perfectly straight with his head held high. The long blade was stabbed in front of him. The surrounding energy formed into a vortex and was being absorbed by it. Compared to the Black Wind blade, the blade was much narrower and longer. Its blade body was like a pool of seawater, sparkling and translucent, allowing one to see the stones on the ground through the blade body. The blade hilt was snow white and flawless, like the snow on the mountain peak, revealing traces of cold intent. Bing did not stop and continued, "We have researched on your armor and have made some changes to the original plan. The changes were mainly suggested by me. I think that the flexibility of the armor and its affinity to energy is more important than its defensive capabilities. So for the new armor we have specially designed energy wings. It can allow you to be more agile, and to a certain extent it can help you control energy." Song Deity revealed a pondering expression. Barbara's words were something he had never thought of before. Regarding the knowledge related to the army, he had learned all of it from Finger College. Finger College was one of the 3 famous schools in the Blue World, but it was different from the other 2 colleges. Finger College was established by a group of awakened blue dwarves, and the students were all awakened blue dwarves. Xiu Xin stared blankly at the long blade, unable to shift his gaze away. If I did not remember wrongly, the intruder's age was not young. How old is his son? 15? 16? After awakening, blue dwarves would become smarter, and if they were willing to pledge loyalty to Blue Ocean, they would definitely gain Blue Ocean's favor and be placed in an important position. He took out a black long blade and threw it to Xiu Senator. After Song Deity graduated from Finger College, he wanted to put his knowledge to use and entered one of the 6 great orders, the Red Order Army. But because he was not willing to pledge loyalty to Blue Ocean, he was always a marginal figure. His character was not good and often got into arguments with others, and very quickly he could not stay any longer and returned to Abadia City. This is your team member's equipment, and your long blade needs to be more outstanding, so we have prepared another long blade for you. Bing took out an azure translucent long blade and threw it in front of Senator. Everyone who thought that Crazy Tang was easy to deal with ended up crying because of their own stupidity. This batch of black blades was a byproduct of Sai Lei's research on how to extract black gold from black stones. The alloy formula was far from perfect, and following the principle of recycling, Sai Lei let his subordinates suppress them into long blades. The dark veins on the blade's body were spirit gold, but the value of this batch of spirit gold was not up to standard, so his subordinates learned from Sai Lei's principle of recycling and casually added it onto the blade. Even the name of the blade could be seen. It was such a random product. Barbara slammed the door and left. "Oh, it's his son," Barbara said solemnly. "Crazy Tang is stupid most of the time, but you better not meet him when he is not stupid." Chapter 577. In the blink of an eye, it was the third day. Gradually, the underworld continent's demonic mounts became the most terrifying bandits, and their reputation grew. There had never been a moment where his heart was so calm. All the martial techniques that he had learnt flashed past his mind. All the different martial techniques in his eyes became extremely clear. Pure physical strength? 80%. Ursa Major Constellation did not have an army that could achieve such a perfect energy synchronization. And Zhou Xian's small team randomly picked 15 people, and was able to achieve such a perfect energy synchronization. Bing even suspected that even if all 46 of them fought at the same time, Zhou Xian would be able to achieve 80% energy synchronization. With a flash, he was like a shadow appearing at the left wing of the small team. Bing was startled. "This is Fire Scythe Ghost Claw? But this power seems to be even stronger than the Fire Scythe Ghost Claw." Zhou Xian randomly picked 5 people, but the rest all stood by the side obediently. His state of mind was very relaxed. Although in his heart he felt that Master's strength should be rather valiant, and that it would be difficult to deal with 5 people, but they had 46 people. No matter how bad it was, 46 people against 1 person, would it be embarrassing? Definitely impossible. Who? Bang. Tang Tian's 5 fingers trembled slightly, rubbing against the air. The temperature of the sparks increased rapidly. The originally red light aura became incandescent, and it continued to increase in temperature. The 15 people waved their blades together. The strong energy undulation caused Tang Tian's eyes to twitch. With the addition of 5 people, Tang Tian felt the pressure immediately increase. In the sparring session, Zhou Xian performed skillfully and easily. At the start, they were continuously defeated by Tang Tian, but after that, the small team that came out under Zhou Xian's guidance quickly restrained Tang Tian, but at this time the number of sparring partners had already reached 10. He decided to test the waters and attack. In this battle, Tu Ling became a famous general, and established the position of the Yuan continent as the first continent in the southern region, and also allowed the underworld continent's demonic mounts to have the title of Southern Region's King of Soldiers. Suddenly, the sky was filled with fine blade auras, flying out from the 15 people's light regiments, like a swarm of hornets pouncing towards Tang Tian. Every blade aura was only the size of a palm, and brought about a terrifying whistling sound. The blade auras shattered. The dense saber auras shattered the moment they came into contact with these light spots. After the battle, the underworld continent's demonic mounts became the soldiers that every powerhouse yearned for. Thus countless of fake underworld continent's demonic mounts started to appear, mixing into the various powerhouses. After a few shocking cases of killing their masters and stealing their wealth, the reputation of the underworld continent's demonic mounts was quickly ruined. The underworld continent was not big, but its reputation spread far and wide, as it produced the most outstanding soldiers. In the underworld continent, there was a set of strict training methods. After the natives were born from the age of 5, they had to undergo special training. It could only be completed after the age of 20. 80% synchronization rate. Oh, my lord's strength isn't bad, but his tactics aren't mainstream. Master's teacher's standard doesn't seem to be that high, but as long as Master continues to work hard, those weird battle habits can still be changed. When Sherson heard about this mission, he felt very relaxed. It was just a sparring partner, what an easy mission. Although it was the first time they had become sparring partners, Sherson did not take it to heart. In a moment, the reputation of the underworld continent's demonic mounts was ruined, causing their living environment to worsen, and many of the underworld continent's demonic mounts took the path of bandits. The people of the underworld continent loved to fight and worshipped the strong, and after going through the harsh training, the soldiers that were created naturally had high standards. In the underworld continent, only the strongest soldiers could be called demonic mounts, and out of all the soldiers that had completed their training, only 2% were able to obtain the title of demonic mounts. Oh, why is that poker face's expression so weird? Tang Tian calmed himself down, his lower body did not move an inch and faced the blade auras, his body sank slightly. The sudden enlightenment caused Tang Tian's heart to calm down. The anxiety and restlessness that he had felt for the past few days was swept away. Oh, then let's continue, I'm not tired. Tang Tian did not even raise his head. First, form groups of 5 and try it out. After 600 years of trials and tribulations, there were already fewer and fewer underworld continent soldiers that would participate in the demonic mounts test. The demonic mounts test had gradually become a declining custom, and only the most traditional villages would persevere. And even if they passed the test, they would usually hide their identity as the underworld continent's demonic mounts. Bing secretly judged in his heart, his expression was not good. Previously, when there were 5 people, they had an 80% synchronization rate, but he was indifferent. But after that, when there were 10 people, 15 people, the synchronization rate was still maintained at 80%, which was a huge blow to Bing. The more people there were, the slower the synchronization rate would be, but Shersen's team did not. Shersen quickly satisfied Tang Tian's thoughts. Previously, Tang Tian's godlike performance, when he thought about it, he was still shocked. He knew that the majority of it was the power of the Black Castle, but he was curious about Master's true strength. Bang, the 15 people's light regiment crumbled. Senior Ghost Claw, did you see that? The fire scythe Ghost Claw has become even stronger in my hands. You must be happy, right? Begin. Looking at the flying light spots, Tang Tian's heart was calm. The Demon King Blazing Firefly was still so beautiful. In the past, there were only 5 Demon King Blazing Fireflies, but in front of him, there were hundreds and thousands of them. Tang Tian did not dodge, he wanted to test the power of his blade. Shersen did not think much of it, he muttered in his heart, Master's fighting spirit is there, but he seems to be too eager for success. I have to find a time to remind him. Tired? To them, the intensity of sparring was nothing. They were the underworld continent's demonic mounts. The underworld continent's demonic mounts that caused people's faces to change. 96 of the underworld continent's demonic mounts. None of them were injured. Shersen felt relieved, he looked at the time. Oh, 10 hours had passed, Master is really hardworking. He opened his mouth and said, Master, why don't we rest for 2 hours and continue? Are you guys very tired? Tang Tian looked at them. Dazzling sparks blossomed from Tang Tian's fingertips. Tang Tian did not think much, he who had entered his battle state was extremely focused. He was like a wild beast, trying his best to find the opponent's weakness. Shersen did not think much of it. I'm becoming stronger. In a radius of 10 m around Tang Tian, sparks floated like countless of fireflies. They converged at Tang Tian's fingertips, forming 5 beautiful vortex-shaped light belts. 46 underworld continents demonic mounts that had gone through the most rigorous training, sparring with one person, would they feel tired? That would be a joke. Shersen could not help but stand up, the speed of the 10 fists was completely out of his imagination. He had never seen such fast fists before, they were like lightning, he could not even see every single one of Tang Tian's fists clearly. The abundant energy in the air was quickly ignited, the dazzling white light aura quickly collapsed, becoming a small star-like light spot. Suddenly Bing felt an immense pressure. We are not tired at all, we are just worried about Master. Shersen explained. The light aura around the small group lit up. Following that, a blade aura that was 3 m wide flew towards Tang Tian. The immense pressure caused Tang Tian's potential to explode. Without hesitation, he retracted his right fist and struck out with his left fist, lightning-fast punches. In a short period of time, 10 fists accurately struck the same position of the blade aura. All the martial techniques and true power techniques disappeared like mist, and the more intrinsic parts of the martial techniques, quietly surfaced in his mind. The moment the fist and blade aura touched, Tang Tian felt an astonishing power, transmitted from his fist. The strong power made him sure that if he did not retract his fist, his arm would definitely break. A light aura flashed past Tang Tian's eyes with a sharp sound. His right palm flipped strangely, his 5 fingers were like hooks. Welcoming the blade aura, he clawed out. After seeing it for so many days, Zhou Xian still felt that it was inconceivable. Zhou Xian did not take it to heart, a small group sparring with one person, although it was a little extravagant, but the master still had this privilege. This also showed that the master was wholeheartedly seeking to improve, and was not willing to fall. That was a good thing and needed to be encouraged. Lowering his waist into a horse stance, he took a deep breath. Welcoming the blade aura, he punched out. Martial techniques relied on energy, but that was because the martial artist's body was unable to reach such a state. Your first task is to be sparring. Silala. Underworld continent soldiers were highly sought after goods in any continent, and the underworld continent's demonic mounts were even more popular. What truly made the underworld continent's demonic mounts famous was the battle with the North 600 years ago. A famous general, Tu Gu, brought 96 demonic mounts and circled around 19 continents, and during the decisive battle he mysteriously appeared behind the northern army, burning down 5 supply bases and turned the tides of the battle. Could it be that the armies of the Sacred Saint Galaxy were already so ridiculously strong? The 15 of them were shocked. The light dots were like fireflies flying in front of them. With that said, the 15 of them immediately lit up with light auras. The 5 light auras quickly fused and became one. Tang Tian was secretly surprised. If he were to close his eyes, he would definitely think that there was only one person in front of him and not 15 people. Tang Tian was filled with pride, mixed with a faint sorrow. Tang Tian's arms were slightly numb, but his face was filled with excitement. The haze in his heart was swept away. After sparring for the past few days, he understood that although the Sacred Saint Galaxy was strong, it was not undefeatable. All the power systems did not have a difference in strength, they were just different paths. Whether you were strong or not did not depend on which path you chose, but on how far you walked on your own path. Zhou Xian praised with the mentality of someone who had experienced it before. Bing, who was by the side, also revealed a serious look. It was energy synchronization. To an army, the more energy synchronization, the less energy they lost and the more energy they could use. Tang Tian's sparring partners had already increased to 15 people. He carefully observed the 15 people in front of him. They were standing in a rhombus formation, maintaining a certain distance from each other. And he did not see any fist auras, which also meant that when the master punched out, it did not involve any energy. So when Wang Zhuanxian and Shi Yong heard Zhou Xian's identity as the underworld continent's demonic mounts, their faces of fear were definitely not faked. Chapter 578. Tang Tian gradually found the trick to it. Fighting with armies could not be forceful, but required constant changes in position, continuous pulling, continuous piecemeal attacks, and the worst thing to do was to clash head-on and be surrounded. He did not want to think about Master Mengnan, but these 3 experts could be used. After a few days, Master Bing had already convinced Zhou Xian. Master Bing's standard was definitely not ordinary. Master Bing gave him a few small suggestions for ichthyosaur transformation, all of which were on point. Zhou Xian tasted it. After the modification, ichthyosaur transformation's power had increased by 20%. Jing Hao nodded his head. You guys rest for a while. So Zhou Xian specially instructed his subordinates to not hold back. All of his subordinates were added to the sparring team. 10 minutes later, the 3 of them were brimming with energy, causing Zhou Xian and the rest's faces to turn black. Seeing that, Crane said, "Let's rest for a while." 5 hours later. Sun Jing stared at him. "Don't be anxious. That is an order from above. I heard that the 22nd Army's mission was not completed, and in the end the commander was suspended and the vice-commander was executed." Zhou Xian, Crane said calmly, "You shut up. Their weakness is the moment after they unleash their techniques, especially when they continuously unleash their techniques. Their defense will have a short period of time. As long as their sword is fast enough, they can penetrate through their defense." Jing Hao said. They struggled to get up. One of his subordinates laughed. "Master, why are you so anxious? These fellows should know how powerful we are now." At this time the three of them finally collapsed from exhaustion, and Zhou Xian heaved a sigh of relief. Everyone sat on the ground to rest and Zhou Xian gasped for breath. Your physical strength is truly strong. Zhou Xian was shocked by Master Meng Nan's improvement. In just a few days, the number of sparring partners had already reached 25 people. His subordinates were all Underworld Continent's demonic mounts. They were the true elites, and no one was clearer than Zhou Xian about their strength. Ling Su stared angrily. Are you showing off? Tang Tian was completely unaware that the Underworld Continent's demonic mounts under Zhou Xian were swift and fierce existences. 25 Underworld Continent demonic mounts, even in the Sacred Saint Galaxy, was a force that could not be underestimated. Zhou Xian didn't know how he managed to get up, but even though he wasn't tactful enough, he was extremely proud of himself. It was not only him, the Underworld Continent's demonic mounts under him were the same. All of them were arrogant people. How could they admit defeat? His subordinates were all shocked. It can't be. Zhou Xian. The strength of the three of them spoke for themselves, and if they could be absorbed into the army, they would be the best assistants. From Zhou Xian's point of view, the reason why these experts were not willing to join the army was because they were too confident in their own strength. If they knew that their individual strength would never be able to contend against an army, they would definitely walk the path of an army. Come, the three of them said in unison. But now, all of the Underworld Continent's demonic mounts were like mud. Zhou Xian did not have any suspicions towards Master Meng Nan's background. Other than the savages, he truly did not think that any other continent would have such a strong body. Zhou Xian's effect was obvious. The three small units were linked together. He was in the center, controlling the three small units at the same time. He could do it with ease. Zhou Xian, who was perspiring profusely, gasped for breath. Your physical strength is too good. Bing quietly observed from the side, doing all sorts of analysis. He was also extremely curious about the Sacred Saint Galaxy Army's tactics. The first 3 days were spent in shock, and when the fourth day started, the situation started to change. Master Meng Nan continued to train with high intensity, causing Zhou Xian to once again praise Master Meng Nan's beast-like physical strength. But what Zhou Xian did not expect was that the three's tenacity and endurance had once again exceeded his expectations. A nightmare just like that had begun. For Master Meng Nan to have such outstanding military generals as support, his background was definitely not simple. Listening to them, Zhou Xian started to perspire profusely, his hands and legs turning cold. He himself was extremely familiar with the formation, even more familiar than his own body, so the discussion of the three in his heart was like thunder, exploding his mind into a blank. Following that, Dian Yizhan, Dian Yizhan Crane requested to be a sparring partner, which Zhou Xian agreed to. Zhou Xian. The more Sun Jing thought about it, the more afraid he became, his face becoming distorted. Don't tell me Zhou Xian also heard the news? You want me to die? No way. All of you move, capture them. Whoever dares to resist, kill them on the spot. 200,000 people, we must definitely complete the mission. Again. The three of them said in unison. After a while, Chaxi's Ling Su also ran over and requested to be a sparring partner, which Zhou Xian agreed to. He started to feel tired. Zhou Xian. But what made him feel inconceivable was that Master Meng Nan's techniques were extremely exquisite. Could it be that the savage continent's martial techniques had already developed to such a powerful stage? Because during the charge, the amount of energy that could be mobilized would reach a terrifying value. When the amount of energy reached a certain level, flaws and loopholes would no longer be important. Of course, Zhou Xian agreed immediately. The reason why Jing Hao and the other two performed so badly previously was because they were too unfamiliar with the Sacred Saint Galaxy's tactics, and were unfamiliar with the high-energy environment of the Sacred Saint Galaxy. Following their familiarity with the army's tactics and familiarity with the Sacred Saint Galaxy, they gradually found a way. Jing Hao, who had changed his name to Jian Wu, also hoped to participate in the sparring. The might of the army would reach its peak during the charge. Meng Nan, he truly lived up to his name. Ling Su stared at him angrily. Why don't you praise us for our stamina? They are powerful, but they don't seem to be able to take a beating. Their weakness is the points that can be attacked in an instant. When there are more than 96 of them, there will be flaws in their defense. As long as I release enough spears, their defense will collapse. Ling Su said. But, in terms of overall evaluation, he was not optimistic. In this era where armies were the mainstream, Master Meng Nan's single-handedly fighting style was fated to not be successful. Thinking about it, if they needed Master Meng Nan to charge and break through the enemy lines, then they would be a failure. Furthermore, Master Meng Nan had Master Bing's support. Crane said calmly, "I believe that you will not care about him anymore." Xiu Sen's legs were already trembling, the members around him were all swaying left and right, all of their faces were pale white. Xiu Sen no longer had the strength to lament about the physical strength of these beasts. And they were the fully armed underworld continent's demonic mounts. Although in Bing's eyes the equipment could not allow Xiu Sen and the rest to unleash their true fighting strength, but it was already equipment that Xiu Sen did not even dare to dream of. Experts, they were definitely true experts and the most powerful experts that Xiu Sen had ever seen. But he had never thought that the nightmare was just beginning. 10 minutes later, seeing Ling Su jump up, Xiu Sen's face changed. As expected, Jing Hao and Crane also stood up at the same time. Crane said apologetically, "Please ignore him." The three of them were once again suppressed to the point of being battered and exhausted. 10 minutes later. Ling Su stared angrily, "Are you showing off again?" Tang Tian's performance was even more outstanding. He alone was able to restrict 25 underworld continents' demonic mounts. Of course, it was just restricting. If it was a head-on assault, Tang Tian was definitely not their opponent. As expected of the Sacred Saint Galaxy, they were truly powerful. I can only restrict 25 of them. Thinking about it, Tang Tian felt that there were still many areas that he could dig out, and that made him excited. Bing scratched his chin, looking at the exhausted Xiu Sen and the rest. He was thinking if he should give them some endurance training. Again. The three of them shouted at the same time. They were all zero-energy bodies and had outstanding recovery abilities. Ichthyosaur transformation was created by Xiu Sen when he was young, and after fighting for 10 years, this battle tactic had been continuously improved, and ever since the last improvement 5 years ago, Xiu Sen thought that the Ichthyosaur transformation had been perfected. The others looked at each other, seeing the fear in each other's eyes, and immediately ran towards the barracks. But after that, the three of them quickly displayed their extremely strong learning abilities. They improved at a godly speed. As the majority of the underworld continent's demonic mounts were occupied by Tang Tian, they had no choice, and Xiu Sen personally went up. After 10 minutes, Ling Su jumped out, Jing Hao stood up, and Crane also stood up. Xiu Sen had a deep impression of Master Jian Wu, the sword that he unleashed previously, although the energy undulation was not strong, but it contained the power of laws. That meant that Master Jian Wu had entered the next level and was a true swordsman. Such an expert was hard to find even with 1,000 gold. The only pity was that he did not seem to understand battle formations. If not, he would definitely be the sharpest blade. Jing Hao nodded his head, "Still all right. This Xiu Sen is too slow. How many days has it been?" Sun Jing said unhappily. In this period of time, Tang Tian's strength had improved extremely quickly. The enlightenment the last time was like opening a window. The fire scythe Ghost Claw had obtained a new life in his hands, and also gave him another important attack method. Tang Tian then remembered that he had many weird things on him like the Devil Flame or the Blade Seal. He had never seriously unearthed their might. After 5 hours, the three of them were exhausted once again. This time Xiu Sen and the other members were also extremely tired. Many of them sat on their butts, their entire bodies perspiring profusely. 20%. This was a difference of 2 levels and allowed Xiu Sen to recognize the difference between him and Master Bing. Xiu Sen heaved a sigh of relief, and then saw the three of them huddled together, and the three of them started to discuss enthusiastically. The temporary difficulty did not make Tang Tian depressed, but instead made him excited. Such a challenge made him full of vigor. And Master Meng Nan was extremely proficient in using his own advantages, and had a beast-like intuition towards battles. And every time he watched, he would exclaim in admiration. Even he was unable to predict all of the inconceivable ideas. Just at that moment, Precious Bright City's Sun Jing also received an urgent order from the higher-ups. The three of their physical strength were not as outstanding as Master Meng Nan, but they were still relatively good. At the start, the three of them obviously did not have any experience on how to fight against armies. They were suppressed by Xiu Sen's subordinates into a difficult situation, which made Xiu Sen satisfied. Jing Hao nodded his head, "Still all right." Their weakness is the undulation of their spirit from a certain angle. We can disrupt their synchronization. As long as we can find the golden angle to cut in, their defensive line will be torn apart. Crane said. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.